Yes, guys, you know what time it is. It's your boy David at the Irish Hotspot, Ireland's #1 Spurs fan. And today we bring you build up to today's massive clash as we travel to the south coast to take on newly promoted Bournemouth. And a win is an absolute must with 4 games to go until the World Cup in the Premier League. But look, joining us today, we've got the all-star panel. We have Jacko, we have Kuva Sexy, and we have the one and only Mr. Daigle. Jacko, how are you keeping this morning? Thank you very much for getting out of bed early to join us.
No, I couldn't have missed this for the world, Dave. This is a huge day for the prophecy of Hill Messi. It was also even nice this morning to even be, looking at large pictures of Hill Messi, which one to choose from to put on the thumbnail and everything. Couldn't have missed this for the world, Dave.
No, exactly. St. Gill Messi Day. I mean, hopefully today is the day. Kuva, how are you keeping, my man?
Pretty sleepless night, but otherwise good. Looking forward to the game today, he says, not really meaning it. Yeah, we just got to win today. That's all there is to it. Need a pick up from this team.
There's no excuses today whatsoever. I mean, I know they say there's no easy games in the Premier League, but if you can't pick up a routine 3 points against a newly promoted side, it's a bad sign of the times. Daigle, how are you keeping?
Well, I'm running on fumes. I'm getting about 3 hours sleep every single night. But who cares? And yeah, I don't know if you've seen what I've just put in the private chat. But I've woken up to see something that, well, basically, I say it. I'm getting news sent to me right now that a certain player might not be playing today. And let's just say David loves his haircut.
Yeah, if he doesn't play today, look, we're talking about Harry Kane. If he doesn't play today, it's going to make our job even harder. So we need him. We need him today. Top goal scorer in the Premier League. But look, we'll wait and see what happens. We will wait and see what happens. We'll welcome a few people in, and then we've got some talking points to get to. Richarlison, the Pigeon TV, on the first one in here. Very early though, but come on, you Spurs, Dave and Jack. How's your day, my man? Just beginning. We're all good, though, brother. Big yourself up. Remember that once it's good morning, everyone. Sounds like Conte is planning to rest some key players ahead of Tuesday. Can't say I blame him, but we currently have a little depth on the bench. I see a defeat incoming today. I'm well aware that he wants to rest players and he's got his eye on the Marseille game. But another reason why we should have got the job done during the week, to be honest. Yep. Tequila 316 says, big up to the Flat Cap and the Irish armies. And as always, Conte in brigade. Big up Tequila 316. My man. Nick Collison says, big up everyone chilling before I make my way to the studio for the watch along. Well, Nick, my man, not going to the game today, no? Usually you like traveling around and going to these games. But Nick, enjoy the watch along. Simon Cohen's in the building. Good morning, Simon Cohen. Great to see you. He says, enjoyed you on Savvy yesterday, Brian.
Yeah, we you know what, Savva and I are going to start doing a show on Fridays together. And once Tottenham on tour back on, and we did a special yesterday on our favourite subject. If we were on Mastermind and it said, what is your specialist subject? And we'd say Daniel Levy, 2001 to present day. And that was a really, really good show. It was a really, really good show, and we're going to build on that. But yeah, thank you, Simon, and Shabbat Shalom.
Big up, Simon. And Sava's making moves, my man. There's always going to be myself, Kuva, Sean, and Sava doing the show Sunday evening. So look out for that, Simon. Hopefully you enjoy that as well.
Yeah, I've been sacked from the Friday one now. Brian's taken over. Cat fight brewing.
Listen, mate. Listen, you're more than welcome to come on whenever you want. Nobody puts Kuva in the corner.
Hopefully we can live up to that show yesterday, though, Simon. Big yourself up. Leon's in the building says, more than all, need to get back to winning ways today. Hopefully a Gill Messi masterclass inbound. Dan Coy says, good morning, everyone. We've got Brian Dempsey in the house. Big up, Brian Dempsey. Good morning as well. Good to see you. We've got Phil. He says, big up, fellow Yellows. Hope you were all well. Spurs, just give me a proper 90 minutes performance, please. 4-0 would be nice. Would like to see Gill from the start. The next Bernardo Silva. Come on, you Spurs. Like Jack says, the prophet of Gill Messi is well and truly on his way.
It's potential for huge downfall for the prophecy of Hill Messi. It might take a big sidestep, or it could take a huge step forward, Phil. But regardless, we're here for it today, my man. Big up.
Yeah, I really hope he puts in a performance. Jack, you sound like you're out swimming, my man. I think you might need to bring the mic a bit closer.
Okay.
Christian Van Wyk says, morning, gents. Big up yourselves. Good morning, my man. How are you keeping? We've all Spurs will lose, I promise you. Well, that's a very nice message to give to me as soon as I wake up. Jack Bloom 2022 says, morning, Spurs fans. Big yourself up. Got Dave Hotspur says, come on, you Spurs. Shamu Van Spurs says, 3:30 a.m. kickoff. Massive RIP for Shamu. We've got Faz Radfar says, big up panel. And he also says, the team and Conte need our support more than ever. Makes me sad when some fans only want to say they were right. Love Spurs no matter who is in charge and how we play. Being a supporter for 40 years. Big up, Faz Radfar. Absolutely love that message. We've got Dark Sun G in the building. Big up, Dark Sun G. Really appreciate the support. He says, come on, you Spurs. Hope to see a start for Gill and Forrester today and a win today. Look, it'd be interesting to see where the Gill starts and off. For me, I think he deserves the minutes. We will get onto it. I just don't think Lucas Moura done anything the other day to warrant a start today. I think Gil Messi came on and did. And when you look at Gill, he offers the closest team to Kulu that anyone else has offered out there. So for me, I actually think it's a no-brainer to start today, Darren Stone G. As for Forrester, I don't see it happening. I'll be brutally honest. I do not see him starting today. I would actually make Hugo Lloris accountable for what he's done the last few weeks. But he's club captain, unfortunately. It does look like he's going to play, which I also don't agree with him being club captain, Dark G.
Feels like that's the thing that's holding us back is the club captain. Do I sound a little bit less watery, Dave?
Yeah.
Little bit better. Still a little bit off your usual game.
Okay, weird. I'll try to figure it out. But yeah, I figured, with him being captain, that usually seems to, complicate things even further with, rotating him.
Yeah, it really does. It really does. Look, Dark Sound G, I think we'll have to put up with Lloris, but definitely it'd be exciting if Gill starts. I think it'll give the whole fan base a bit of excitement, something different, something a bit new going forward, my man. Got John Fitzpatrick says, big up David Jack and Brian Gil. I suppose you're looking for Gill to start today. For me, he still isn't ready for the Premier League. John, you're only saying that because you used Gil Messi as a stick to beat me with for last year. But here I am sitting here talking about the prophet of Gil Messi, also being compared to Bernardo Silva. Come on, John, let's just get behind the Gil today. Honestly, hopefully you and the young family as well, my man. Big yourself up, John. Good to see you in. Jimothy's in the house. Good morning, gentlemen. Big up to Dave, Jack, Daigle, and Cuba. Big up, Jimothy. Good to see you. Welsh Guy says, big up, lads. Class panel. Really appreciate it. Big up, Welsh Guy. What's the IPA today? Tony Austin says, be nice to see us play a bit. It really would, to be honest with you. We've got Wayne Bonner says, if Conte goes 3-4-3, then I'd like to see Gill get a start bleeding them into the team more than everyone. Haven't gotten around to your WhatsApp message yet, Mr. Daigle. I'll read it this afternoon.
But please do, sir. Wayne, just to let you know, Mr. 57 Screens basically saying, I'm coming to London. I'm coming for 6 months. And this time we are meeting up. I have 6 months to kill, not 3 weeks, not 2 weeks. We're hooking up for damn sure. So I look forward to it, buddy. Yeah, get back to me when you can.
Big up, Wayne. Oh, good to see you. We've got Nuno in here looking for his job back. Not happening. Thank you. We've got Tot 943 says, I see it being a board draw today. Big up, lads. And then we've got R Green 216 says, morning, chaps. Come on, you Spurs. Big yourself up. Just make sure I'm not missing anyone. And we've got Ribsy in here. Big up, Ribsy. Good to see you. And also Catman Jess. Great to see you. But guys, that's welcoming everybody in. I haven't actually missed anybody. But we are going to start getting into it, tell you everything you need to know, give you the injuries and stuff like that. And then we've got a lot of good talking points today as well. So make sure you stay tuned. Make sure you smash that like button, smash that subscribe button at any stage. Feel free, a bit like Dark Sun G there, to get in a super chat and highlight your comments and we'll get straight to it. But as usual, the part of the deal is we know cost of living is all gone up, etc., etc. So, guys, feel free just to keep getting your comments in and we'll bring them up as we go along. Now, everything you need to know, we actually are away today at the Vitality. Kickoff is at 3 p.m. Referee is Anthony Taylor. In the VAR room, it's Gerard Gillet. In the UK and Ireland, you actually can't watch the game. It's not being screened. It's part of a blackout initiative. I found this out because it pissed me off. It's actually part of a blackout initiative right across the UK and Ireland to try and get more people to the 3 p.m. kickoffs. So that's why they do not show them. And then in the USA is on Peacock TV. So that is absolutely everything you guys need to know. And then we'll
But before you do that, I'm going to test you and Jack. Because I saw you get it wrong on Wednesday for Sporting Lisbon. Where can people watch it in Canada?
Football TV.
There you go. There you go.
TV.
Fubo Premier League, the Zone
Was it not on the
Champions
Zone
League.
during the week?
The Zone was Champions League, but you both said it's not available on Fubo. So you got it mixed up. So it's one of the two. So Premier League
You know
is
what?
Fubo.
You guys in Canada are just complicated. That's the problem.
We are.
Right?
We're a complicated piece. We're a complicated species. We are.
Injury news, you've got Richarlison, of course, still out. Kulusevski still out. And then Romero, there is a strong chance he will miss today. And Davinson will be in there. I refuse to say second in because he plays crap anytime I do. And then for Bournemouth, you've got Nato, you've got Kelly, you've got David Brooks, and then Solanke is late fitness test for today. So that is absolutely everything you guys need to know going into this. Adrian Chia, big up. Good to see you in the building. He says, big up, lads. Match day once again. Come on, you Spurs. And this is the great and glorious thing about us. We're so used to disappointment. No matter the result, we're all here the next day expecting a win again, being pumped up again. And this is what football is all about. Dust yourself down and absolutely go again. But big up, Adrian Chia. Really, really appreciate the support, my man. And Jack, what have we got there? I can't hear you.
Can't hear you at all now.
You're on mute. Or if you're not.
He's not even on mute.
Am I better now? Am I better?
There we are, Jack. Oh.
It's the old
Sorry
Jack
about that,
now.
everybody. Hopefully I get better. Welsh Gal member for 10 months. Love the build-up and the watch-alongs. Thanks, Dave, Jack, Mr. Daigle, and Kuva Jit. Having Jemima's pitchfork today. Is that how I read it right? Jemima's?
What's you saying?
Having Jemima's or having Jemima's pitchfork today? Oh, maybe that's the IPA. It's the IPA.
Oh, that's it. Yeah, that's it. The IPA.
And it's, of course, I mean, Dave, I should be the one that should know it, considering, I love my craps as well, Dave. So I don't even know why I'm looking at you guys. I should be the one that should know exactly what she's talking about here. But Welsh Gal up in her game here with the IPA.
Yeah, you should, Jack. You definitely shouldn't be looking at me.
I don't even know why I'm looking at you guys. I should be the one well prepared. I should have the stats on the IPA that she's probably drinking right now. So, Welsh Gal, apologies. Sounds delicious.
Big up, Welsh Gal. Enjoy it. There's actually a few funny IPAs around. I've seen them like Bishop's Finger and all that sort of stuff. There's a few funny ones out there. But look, we won't even get into that today. It's too far off the radar. Simon McClure says, hi, David, mate. Nervous yet again with this fixture. Shouldn't be nervous playing Bournemouth, but that's the way the team has got me lately. Spot on, my man. Absolutely spot on. Big up, John from the cheese room. Good to see you in the build, my man. I hope you're keeping well. And he says, smash that like button. That's very sound of you. Big up, John. And then we've got Savvy says, guys, be honest. Do you think we will win something this time? Well, we should. I hope so. And Legend 27 says, we will play okay first 20 minutes and then Jelly Legs will start to wobble at the back. I mean, you could probably have Jelly Legs 1, 2, 3, and 4, to be honest with you, my man.
Which one is Jelly Legs? Which Jelly Legs?
But look, we're going to crack into it. Now, we'll start with you. We'll start with you, Kuva. Including today's game, we have just 4 league games left until the World Cup break. It's really important we return to form and pick up some much-needed points today, especially considering Chelsea and Man United are coming into form. Surely, Kuva, a trip away to a newly promoted side should be a routine 3 points for us.
You'd think so, but our away form is not good, is it? It's terrible in Europe. It's a bit dodgy in the league as well. Bournemouth are fighting for their lives. They've had that new manager bounce, although the last couple of games they've been tucked away. I think they were unlucky against Southampton. Southampton did play well, to be fair, but Bournemouth still hung in there and probably created more chances in the end, but just not the same sort of quality. Against West Ham, they were poor, but keeper having an injury half-time makes a big difference, especially when you're somebody like Bournemouth and you're going to rely on your goalkeeper a lot because you're going to be facing shots throughout the season. I think they look all right. They're punching above their weight in a few games recently, and when you've got that kind of spirit in the team, it can cause problems against a passive team like us. If it was at home, I think we would blitz them easily, but away we suddenly look a little bit more fragile, I think. It's going to be a tough game, but you're right. We've got to win this one. For me, this game is more important than the Champions League game because Champions League, let's face it, we're not going to be winning that. Well, as soon as we meet one of the really big teams in that in the knockout phases, if we get there, we're going to get trounced and we'll be sent back in. What is important is we continue to plug our 4th place in the league. If we lose that this season, it could be quite a long time before we see it again. The likes of Newcastle and the Chelsea getting their act together now. Even Man United starting to make a push again. It could be really hard going. Liverpool, are they going to stay in the sort of foot cup form they're in currently? They're a team that's capable of pushing their way back into top 4 by stringing 10 games together. I think this league season is more important. I'd prefer to see us put out a strong team today and make sure of the points, to be honest.
It's a bit of a state of the times, though, Kuva, heading into a game against a newly promoted side where it should be routine 3 points, and here we are sitting here. We don't really know what's going to turn up today. Be a sign of the times. It is.
We're not quite clicking, are we? The points are on the board quite well, considering the poor performances this season, but we've seen it coming off the wheels a bit against some of the bigger teams so far. And as I said, away from home, we are not the same. That home crowd really does get us through a lot of sticky patches in games. Didn't quite work against Newcastle, but at least the performance was a bit better. United game was just so shocking. One of the worst performances I've ever seen away from home. Let's have it today. It is just Bournemouth at the end of the day. We should be looking at it that way.
Tin Pot Stadium. In fact, actually, the famous clip of, do you know your man Ty from AFTV having a go at the Bournemouth steward for one of the decisions the referee gave? It's actually absolutely comical. It's brilliant. But look, Daigle, if we don't bounce back today, is there a bigger conversation to be had around Conte? The results this month have been absolutely dreadful. There's boos happening in the games now. The media are absolutely piling on the pressure. And some of the fans too. And the performances, look, let's be honest, they've been absolutely crap, especially this month. Is there a proper conversation to be had in your opinion?
Yes, so first of all, I have to say, because when Cougar said the word Man United, it reminded me of something. Did you see all the media go mad at Anthony showboating and doing the turn and then that pass? Oh, of course.
They obviously never watched JJ Okocha or Ronaldinho, Brian.
Of course, he does that and then passes it to absolutely no one. And there's no mention of showboating and taking the piss, and this should be banned. But Richarlison does it. Here we go.
And his was a lot. His
was like everybody had an opinion when Richarlison.
Mate, he looked like one of those ballerinas in a jewellery box. That's what he was doing with the football. Yeah, exactly. It's like what was? But anyway, I mean, you've asked me this question of all questions. What a humdinger to get me to start off with.
Look, Brian, I got to start with talking points hot and heavy today because last week we only really got going and we had to end because I couldn't tell the time.
Exactly. I mean, listen, the pressure is mounting, isn't it? But would you say, I pray to God, people got to stop blaming it on Conte. Yes, he's got to take accountability for some of the performances and individual performances, but these players are professional enough to cross that white line, and they get paid a hell of a lot of money to do this the job, and just not to turn up. Just not to. We always said that if we go out today and give a really good account for ourselves, at least you can say, all right, you know what, they gave everything on the pitch. You can't argue, but we're talking about a Bournemouth team who deserve a lot of credit from sacking Parker and still haven't employed a full-time manager, and their part-time manager has done a wonderful job. Right, they've lost their last 2 games without scoring, but they've done tremendously well from where they could have been after a 9-0 thumping. But yeah, do you know what? It's I'm actually kind of happy that the game's away today, because if this had been a home game and it hadn't gone right, then it would have literally started going a little bit. This would have started causing scenes and ripples. And you got to remember now, with this game and the Champions League game, it's Liverpool next week, and if we don't get the results in either, that atmosphere for Liverpool, then we're talking now, because this, like you said, it has been a woeful month. It's been an absolute woeful month, and the pressure, wherever you're directing it, and we were discussing this yesterday on the Late Late Show, you're either booing, like the half-time, you're either booing the manager, the board, the players, the style of play, or the referee. That's the 5 things that potentially people could be booing, and it's going to get louder. If this result isn't right today, which I pray to God it will be, and then you've got to remember the media will just jump on this as well. Are Spurs finished? Are Spurs playing for Conte? Are Spurs this? Are Spurs that? We've got to stop this. We've got to take this narrative out of everyone's hands and put it firmly back in our own.
Yeah, 100%. But look, that also there, comes down to the players standing up today and being counted, knowing the pressure is on the manager. How much do you love Antonio Conte? How much do you want him to be here? Well, go out and fucking deliver this week then. That's what I would say. Jacko, Antonio Conte, look, I've gone and done a bit of research. He has just only, he has just won. He has only just lost one of his last 37 top flight matches as a manager against a newly promoted team, winning 29 and drawing 7 in a sequence stretching across his time at Juventus, Chelsea, Inter, and Spurs. If we don't win, if we don't win today, that stat I've just read out, does that actually prove that the problem is some of the playing squad and actually not Conte?
Oh, I mean, yeah, and especially with the news that Daigle maybe brought up earlier with the likes of Harry Kane, Dave. I mean, we do find ourselves sort of scratching our head as to what sort of players we have available to us. When it comes to the front line, I think obviously we probably could still use some additions there, but we have been, I mean, significantly burdened by the injuries of Kulusevski and Richarlison. And I think most teams would if they found themselves in that situation. I mean, those are one of those guys, if not two of those guys, would be on the bench for us in these sort of games, and they just happen not to be. And also we've struggled without Lucas. I mean, the other thing too, though, Dave, is when you look at a team like Bournemouth, I think they are very, very, kind of a team that pretty much, no matter what sort of form you're going into it, no matter how you sort of feel, no matter how poor you're playing, you really should look at it as 3 points. And I think if Antonio Conte doesn't pick up 3 points in here, I think I'd be very concerned, just because it says a lot about the squad, says a lot about whether they actually believe in him, whether they're actually playing for him. I think we find ourselves sort of, asking those same questions before of, are the players actually playing for Conte? Or are they starting to throw him under the bus, etc. I think, of course, the squad is the first thing you look at. I probably would take it a bit further, Dave. I think I would actually look at, are the players now starting to maybe throw Conte under the bus here? Because it would seem like this should be at least a 3 points as a must.
It's got to be a must. Look, I'm fed up here of building people up like they're Real Madrid, Bayern Munich, people like that. I'm absolutely fed up with it. And I know people are going to say, oh, Dave, shut up. You know there's no easy games. Don't care. Newly promoted side should be 6 points every single season, guaranteed, especially at a club like Tottenham Hotspur. And with Conte's record against newly promoted teams across the clubs he's managed, for me, if we don't get the job done today, it points to a few people and a few people only. And I don't want to hear anybody go at Conte, go at the style of play, go at the tactics, go at the players who are the ones that are across the right line and implement it. Conte gets them prepared for the week, gets them built up for the week to go out there with a plan. If they fail to execute it, that's on them numpties and their pea-sized brains, because they're really starting to annoy me lately, some of these guys, to be honest with you. But Kuva, you alluded to our away form there not so long ago. In our 6 away games so far, Spurs have beaten Nottingham Forest 2-0 and Brighton 1-0. Then we've drawn with 2 London sides, Chelsea 2-2, West Ham 1-1, and the 2 defeats have been against Arsenal 3-1 and United 2-0. What do you put our struggles away from home down to?
Hard to say, isn't it? Mentality, so there's got to be. Does that ride with the manager partially? I suppose perhaps you could say he's maybe not getting enough out of the players. Seems a bit harsh since we've been doing this for quite a while now, haven't we? Happened under Pochettino as well. I think it's just something to do with the it's the whole setup of the club. It's the culture, if you like. It seems like we tend to only flourish when we're at home and things are nice and rosy for us and it's easy. As soon as the pressure's put on, we don't seem to perform, and we do it regularly. It's like there's a nervousness creeps into the team. And this isn't just for Conte. This has been going on for years. Yeah. Started happening under Pochettino. We suddenly just sort of kind of fell off the cliff with away form under Pochettino. Yeah. It was weird at the time, and we've not recovered from it. It's still strange. Have those little flashes, new manager comes in, Jose comes in, we think, oh, right, turning things around. Soon enough, it's back to the same. No.
Look at it, Kova. Jose came in here to try and change the mentality. Try to challenge the players. Try to say, look, some of them, you're not as good as you think you are. Go out, prove people wrong. You need to do this. You need to do that. You need to live right. And they all started crying and moaning, and it's, oh, he's speaking mean to me. You know what I mean? It doesn't actually come down to mentality, because that's what Jose is trying to change. That's what Conte is trying to change. And they've struggled to do it.
Yeah, I think you go back to Tim Sherwood when he was in charge. Not the greatest manager we've ever had by a long shot. But there's some things he said that rang really true. And one of them was like about certain players you've got to cuddle, certain players you've got to give a kick up the arse.
Oh, that's a joke.
And it seems like too many of ours need a cuddle, otherwise they just fall away. It shouldn't be the way. Jose comes in, you know what style he's going to give. He will shield his players, but he also expects certain levels from them, and they just don't give it. And he questions it, and they don't rise to meet the challenge. They never do. They go hiding in the big games. We always do this. You get the words bottle job and Spursy in recent years, don't you? We never used to have any of this crap being said about our team. This is a recent thing. It's it's shocking, and it does seem to be ingrained in the club. It's no longer a case of, oh, this is all Pochettino's players or anything like that. It doesn't matter who we bring in. It's the same thing. It's spreading to whoever comes into the club. Is it all too easy for them, too cushy? Perhaps they want to get back to some wooden benches, sawdust on the floor, and having a punch-up before all the games, just get in the right mood.
And
I mean,
remember
Wimbledon from the 80s. They're famous about coming up the leagues, ghetto blaster on full blast in the dressing rooms, players pumped up and steaming for a fight, but they'd take it out onto the pitch and focus and peanut budget, and they're putting teams away and won an FA Cup doing it. Do we need that kind of spirit put into the team? Surely it doesn't have to get to those lengths. I mean, we got quality players, but there's something missing, isn't there? There is something about the mentality of the players. Go to pot when we're pressed. The basics go. I mean, you look at Dyer, doesn't even play to the whistle. His first instinct isn't to protect the goal when it's under threat.
Yeah.
Do you know what, Kuva? I actually got through the whole day yesterday without thinking or mentioning Dyer, and then I was on the phone to Ellie last night, and she had to bring him up and ruined my day. But I nearly got 24 hours without talking about the fucker. But do you know what the problem is, Kuva? I think when you said about players needing a cuddle, I mean, you cuddle your teddy bear at night, you cuddle your missus at night. You know what I mean? And it's just kind of like, I reckon more of these players need a cuddle than don't. And I think that's probably our biggest problem. They constantly need an arm around the back, constantly need a pat on the bottom, constantly need told good stuff about them. And then when it gets to the point where they're that shit, there is no good stuff to say about them. Then they cry and they moan and they go about, oh, well, the manager's not speaking nice to me. It's like, okay, but you started dropping your performances on the pitch first. How about you wake up to that fact, idiot? You know what I mean? It really, really winds me up. But look, Jack, I know you're itching to come in, Dave. You're itching to come in. Feel free to have your say.
I know. I just definitely agree with what Kuva said. There's certainly a huge imbalance of players that would rather have a cuddle than players that would rather have a kick up the arse. If anything, actually, what we heard from, I believe, Paratici in one of those interviews, that was one of the things that they said they're going to do very differently from now on when it comes to the club. He identified the mentality more than anything, Dave. I think he was probably being nice by not, mentioning the quality of some of the players that his predecessor Hitchin brought in, but he decided to actually mention more that it was the mentality that kind of Spurs were getting wrong before with the players that they had brought in the past. So that sort of actually proves Kuva right when you think about it, that Paratici basically looked at a lot of the players he's been trying to get rid of and saying to basically Conte as well as Levy, these are the exact opposite sort of mentality of players that basically we want at this sort of football club, which basically speaks to maybe Hitchin as well as just Levy in general kept around way too many people that would rather have a cuddle than a kick up the arse, especially if you're bringing around the Joses and the Contes of the world, Dave. They are kind of more of the siege mentality, sort of alpha kind of personalities anyway. So you can't really have too many guys looking for a cuddle. I can't imagine Jose even hands out too many cuddles a year to people. Jack. So it only goes around to, I think, the Højbjergs and the Kanes probably receive the cuddles, if anything. I don't think anybody else is, allowed to receive them. So you sort of look at it. I think it was the predecessors of Hitchin as well as Levy preserving those guys that do just kind of like a nice cuddle and, a nice kiss on the cheek, Dave.
So let me just add, I've got a couple of things to say very quickly. When it comes to the players needing a cuddle, the thing that annoys me about this, how we've spoken about the manager being the wrong style of play and we go attack defense. if you've got players that need a cuddle, hire a manager whose man management skills are second to none, like a Harry
No.
Redknapp.
I disagree, Dago.
No, but I'm
Get
saying
rid of
that
the fuckers that need a
no.
cuddle because they're never going to win you anything.
Yeah, no, David, that part I'm with you. But if you've got a majority of players, look what Harry Redknapp did when we were struggling in relegation and 2 points from 8 games. By the end of the season, we're almost challenging for Europe because that's the mentality and that's the kind of players that you've got a nucleus of players that respond better to that. Not saying that we'd win anything, but if you've got a load of players that say they need cuddles and that, which I don't agree with, like you, then hire a bloody manager whose main set of skills is blooming man management. Jose is the antichrist of man management. Antonio Conte is not the same. You're going to work your fucking up. Again, it comes to like with the players playing in the wrong formation. But I do have another update for you. Apparently, it's a stomach bug that Harry Kane is out for. I'm getting updates now. Apparently, thankfully, it's not an injury per se, especially with the World Cup around the corner and whatever. But I'm hearing now it's a stomach bug.
He's feeling sick after that VAR decision.
Yeah,
probably.
I'll be back in a few hours. Harry needs me, Jack. You take over, my man. It's Big H needs the big dog over there to help him.
He needs
you know
his
what?
stomach massaged.
Yeah, I'll be just sitting there rubbing it. You okay?
He needs a cuddle from Dave.
Whispering in his ear, give me another 4 goals today. Give me another 4. No, but honestly, I'm absolutely fed up with the weak mentality that some of these players show inside this football club. I mean, they get good money, they have a comfortable life, you know what I mean? And they come into this football club and they need to be cuddled and everything else. You know, it's not Valentine's Day every single day. You know what I mean? It's absolutely ridiculous. In order to be, and it replicates on the pitch because when you go on past that white line, the managers and the staff's job is more or less done. It's up to you then to take everything you've done during the week onto that pitch. And when you look at our team, there's no real problem solvers there. There's no one that's grabbing that game by the scruff of the neck and start berating people, you know. You start moving fat ass. You start moving fat ass. You know what I mean? There's none of that. Everyone just seems to be able to do what they want. And it doesn't look like we're a collective out there either. It looks like we're a team of individuals at the minute, and it's got to change. It really does. The only way that's going to change is stop persisting with the same numpties that failed multiple people at this football club, in my opinion. I'm even going to add the director of footballs that brought them in here as well, because they're letting them down as well, making them look crap at their job. And it's just absolutely got to change. We will not win anything unless that mentality changes. Because even cup finals, they're walking out there scared. I mean, you're supposed to enjoy it. You're supposed to be like, oh, this is the fruits of my labor. This is why I've trained so hard this year. This is why I've been on, I've been eating right this year and everything else. This is why I've spent time away from my family. I'm going to go out here and I'm going to enjoy this. But to walk out there scared, rattled, and it's just got to change. And the sad thing is, everyone that comes up against us knows it. Everybody that comes up against us knows it. You think Bournemouth manager Gary O'Neill isn't sitting there today going, simple. Soon as that back line gets the ball, press them. They're not on the greatest form. No confidence. Go after them. No relegation team should be should know or have a blueprint to come up against us. They should be sitting 11 men behind the ball and going, fuck me. They've got Kane and Son. How do we stop them? Unfortunately, that is not going to be the case. But the weak mentality absolutely has to change because it's absolutely driving me nuts. Adrian,
I agree. I was going to say, add on to what Brian was saying about Harry Redknapp. I was saying, having a similar conversation on another stream in midweek. You can bring in a manager like Harry Redknapp. Well, I mean, exactly what he did when Ramos was sacked. And you can transform the team in terms of how they're playing the game, enjoying it. It's going to be more pleasing on the eye. And it'll take you to a certain level. But at the end of the day, it comes back to what you're saying, Dave. At the end of the day, you're still not going to get success out of that. If we're looking to success, we've got to bite the bullet, stick with Conte, and have these painful, these transfer windows that we got to have in, where we're actually getting these quality players in with the correct attitude. I'm not even convinced it's going to take just the 2 or 3 windows, as Conte was alluding to. I think it's an even longer term thing with this club, because we just can't shift players out.
Yeah. That's a huge problem as well, not being able to ship them out. And that's probably why we're still stuck here with a lot of these numpties, because we haven't been able to ship them out. And it's like, oh, we'll just give them a new contract. Why not? Let's let them go out there and make more numpty mistakes this year. Drives me absolutely insane.
Yeah, we're stuck because we can't sell them. If we can't sell them, we're not going to be buying the players in. There's one thing Levy isn't going to do. He's not going to break the transfer structure to accommodate new players in without making room for them. He wants to keep that wage bill down.
Look, I don't mind that, but then just be ruthless with the playing squad you have then. You know what I mean? If that's the way you want to operate, fine. But then just be absolutely ruthless with some of the players you have and challenge them. Pull them up to your office. Say, look, you're out here. Tough tits. You've been here 9 years. I'm not actually going to award you your testimonial because you don't deserve it. But unfortunately, you'll be brought up. There'll be a cake with candles, few coffees, few biscuits for Duncan. Well done, Dyer testimonial. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy.
To be fair, there's a couple of instances like Oreo where we actually did cancel the contract, didn't we? So he is
that was the one
of doing something like that.
That was the one. But yeah, he I mean, we got to remember he hasn't given Jan his testimonial. I think testimonials at Tottenham are a done thing. You don't get them.
Oh no, you do. You just have to make 20 mistakes a season every season.
Okay, so then Jan Vertonghen's never getting one. I don't think he made 20 mistakes in his career. So yeah, we've got. But yeah, listen, this is the problem again that we've got, haven't we? Like you said, the director of football, and this is more. It's deeper than Paratici. There's Paul Mitchell in there. There's other people. And as you said, Levy pulling him up into the office ain't going to happen because whilst they get top four, that's your bread and butter. You've done what I asked you to do.
Yeah,
and that is it.
It's just honestly, I can't roll on next summer. I can't wait. Adrian Chia says media is still on and on about Conte's view on VAR. Look, Conte is one of them guys. No matter what he does, it's going to be drowned out for absolutely days after it. It's just he's one of them guys, isn't he? He's an entertaining character.
What I'd say to Adrian is where you can tell that there's a bit of hypocrisy, I think, when it comes to how the media talks about Spurs, is it feels like when Richarlison does that keepy uppy, everybody has an opinion on it. You can't escape it from the media. Every single person that has a voice box was speaking about that Richarlison keepy uppy and whatever nonsense opinion that they seem to have about it. When Anthony does it, maybe one or two opinions that you see from TalkSport, etc., like not really made a big deal, not really made like a big sort of fuss or anything in comparison to what Richarlison does. You now look at VAR, it sort of feels a bit similar, where it's like just weeks ago, everybody's complaining about VAR. Feels like it's, you're allowed to sort of talk about it incessantly with everybody. You're allowed to complain about it. You're allowed to sort of talk about how it needs to go. It needs to be scrapped, and it becomes a big talking point. You're finding yourself talking about VAR more than the actual game. The moment it happens to Spurs, the moment that Spurs fans get the opportunity to complain about VAR, get to say kind of the same sort of talking points, now it's all about, don't they realize, they get to benefit from it? Don't they realize, it's kind of just here forever? I feel like they're complaining a bit too much. They're a bit hypocritical. Conte's going a bit far with it. It just seems like, we're not allowed to engage in the discussion. We're not allowed to have fun, almost kind of like the rest of the teams, if that makes any sense, or if you get what I'm kind of going, Dave. It just feels like the moment that Spurs fans get the opportunity to kind of complain about the same things, feels like the media doesn't allow us to.
Yeah, that's very true, Jacko. Big up, Adrian Chia. I really appreciate it. Reload says, what's this crap? I don't know. You're tuning into it, though, so thank you. Appreciate that. We've got Phil in the house. He says, Jan and Toby back in the day equals zero Lloris mistakes. I mean, I think you've absolutely got a point there, but because they were comfortable to take the ball, every single one of them.
Yep.
I'm not excusing you, Lloris's kicking and stuff like that. We've got three centre-halves there. Do any of them drop in to receive it? I don't see that really happening too much, to be honest with you, Phil. But look, Hugo Lloris, it's kind of hard to deny that maybe he is on a bit of a downward spiral as well, and maybe, we should have got it. Look, I spoke about 2 years ago about getting his replacement in here, but we definitely need it now for sure. But big up, Phil. Really appreciate the support, my man. But Brian, we're yet to put in a 90 minutes performance this season. Is this down to a lack of effort, lack of quality on the players' behalf, or is it down to our injury problems, or is it a tactic by Conte, like some are saying, to maybe reserve or preserve themselves a little, given the volume of games we have to play?
I think I really do think it's a combination of everything. I really, really do. I don't think you can put. I don't think it's fair to put all your eggs in one basket. If we look at the style of play, it's kind of what we did, the formation that we did last season, minus the 3-5-2, because it was predominantly 3-4-3. And look what that gave us. Look what some of the results. Look what the football gave us. You talk about injuries. Once again, honestly, do you know what? In January, I don't even know if you're allowed to change medical team throughout the season, or get rid of this fucking medical team and bring in a whole brand new one, because they do not know how to treat players. They really don't. Every single time they're coming back, they pulled up in training. Oh, well, why are they back training so quickly? Surely all the science and all the tests you do will show that they're not ready to come back, but we're rushing to get them in. Why are we rushing them to get in? Because we haven't got the squad depth. Why haven't we got the squad depth? Because I mean, I'm not saying like 6 degrees of separation. There's a point of blame to everyone. Sorry, I just saw that comment. I hope it wasn't what I read properly.
No.
So yeah, sorry, I lost my train of thought when I saw that word. Okay, so yeah, you look at it, and I can see what you're talking with my brother Ryan Isaacs. When he's going on about lack of window, when you got to look at it.
But what do you know what? I was just having a bit of a debate with him in the comments. He was saying about Tottenham having no backup for Harry Kane today. He's got a stomach bug. He need to leave you out. Which I get to a certain extent, but you can't deny that we bought Richarlison for that, and it's unlucky that he's injured.
Yeah, so this is. I get both your points.
You can't stock 4 or 5 strikers.
Oh no. What I will say about it, and I see your point, but I see Ryan's point as well, is Richarlison, as we all know, was bought for left wing and striker. He wouldn't have to play striker. Then he played on the right. He wouldn't have to play the right if Kulusevski didn't get injured, and Moura was injured, but Hill was there. Moura, not good enough. We know that he's not at the standard. Hill, we didn't know, and he's having his. So if we'd had another right winger that could actually compete, then we wouldn't have had to play Richarlison over on the position that he's not used to. Then he wouldn't have got injured. Yeah, you know what I mean? An injury can happen at any time. But you look at this, and we discussed this on your show, and big up, by the way, Sue Smith's in the house, Diamond. So if you look at it, when we are talking about it on your show, and you start looking at the squad depth, when we had this issue with Richarlison, we know he does not play left. Right. He just does not do it for club or country. But because we haven't got the depth, and we've got listen, you can't help it with injuries. Players get injured in every game, or can. It's that simple. But the thing is, you need to have the cover. And what we should be doing, what Tottenham Hotspur always do, is seeing that he's out, we've got this player that can't get into the squad because someone else is in his position. But seeing there's an injury and he can play up top, we're playing where he's most uncomfortable. That's the issue. But like you said, when you said, is it the style of play? Style of play has been a big problem. Formation, I don't think it is, because we're doing it last season, and look what we did last season. Then you've got the other things you were saying. It's just, I think it links back to all. But with Kane, if this is right and he is out, Son has to step up. If you look at it, Son, it's like we haven't got Richarlison to fall back on. There is no Kulusevski. Will it be? Do we play a 1 up top? Do we have Moura up top with him? Do we put Gill up with him? Do we go 3-5-2? And it's all a mess, because it's like, well, what do we do now? So this is going to be fun. I'm hoping these rumours are just that. But again, it could be that they want to rest him for Tuesday. And I think it's imperative that we risk him for Tuesday. But because we haven't taken the points or played well recently, and he's only the one scoring, let's face it, we've been talking about this. If it weren't for his goals, we would be up shit creek this season, which has happened on many a season. And now they're going to have to be, if there's this true and he ain't in, it's like, right, you've got to go do it now. And hopefully Son will be able to do it today.
We need a massive game from Sonny. Look, we'll get on to Sonny, but we do actually need a massive game from Sonny today. I believe the last time we played these, he was sent off before half time. So, look, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. Hopefully, Son does turn up today, though. Honor says medical teams being shit for too long. That is that's fair. We always seem to have injuries here, and anytime anyone comes back, it's like we're given a date, and then 4 or 5 weeks later, you're still sitting there pondering what's wrong with this guy, what's happened. Cooper, what would you say to Wayne Banner? I think he's absolutely spot on here about our medical team.
Oh, it depends what you view as shit, really, doesn't it? I mean, I've forgotten which stream I was on. What's wrong with you, Dave? We were talking about it's the most popular part of the club at the moment, the medical room. All the players want to be there. The staff don't want to let them go. All the parties are happening there.
Is there any wonder when they're talking about what's your favourite 5 chocolate bars, Cooper?
Yeah, exactly. It sounds like a great place to be. Should all get in there. Everybody be faking injuries all day, all year long, and just get in where all the fun's really happening. Big up the medical team.
We all wondered where the cricket went, Dave. We all wondered where it disappeared to. Perhaps it's the medical team that's been hosting the cricket games, and that's where the players go. They get to talk toothpaste with Dele Alli and get to play cricket.
Do you know what?
It ties in with talking about everything being too comfortable for the players, doesn't it?
Yeah.
This is a big part of it, perhaps. There's no incentive to get out there and do what you're supposed to be doing more quickly. Perhaps it does prolong it. Perhaps players not being put through the paces is holding them back. That's what's taking so long. I don't know. There's something wrong, isn't there? Everybody's talking about it now.
Yeah, it's definitely another department of the club that maybe needs to be upgraded. Who's going to be tasked with that? I'm not so sure. I do not know, but something has to happen for sure. Big up, Wado. Really appreciate the support. And then Gaetano, really appreciate that as well. And he just says, yeah, Ribsy. Big up,
and Gaetano. It's from Italy. Big up, Gaetano.
Absolutely love that.
Just a thought about the medical room. Perhaps we could do with one of those sort of 17th century ship's doctors, with the bloody apron on and the big meat cleaver. And then people will come in and just go, I think I can run it off.
I think Jamie has the answer. He says there's a new fit bird working there. Big up, Jamie. Big yourself up, brother. But Jack, what do you think the lack of performance over 90 minutes is? Because we've seen it at times. Look, sometimes it's the first half, second half shit, but the majority of the time it's the first half shit, bollocking at halftime, second half try to make up for the first half sometimes. Majority of times it's too late. I mean, what do you put it down to, Jack?
I don't think it's been the same reason every time, Dave. I think in certain games, it's been a lack of finishing. You look at, like I said, that, classic example against Eintracht Frankfurt, where it felt like the whole team played exceptionally well. We even went out of there with a clean sheet. The only people you really looked at were Kane, Son, and Richie, who just couldn't finish a thing that game. And sort of then made you think, well, we lost that game mostly due to poor finishing and mostly due to the strikers not finishing up. Or not, showing up. Then you look at the game against Newcastle, actually a pretty decent team performance by the looks of things, and looking like they were going to kind of get out of there with at least a point. All of a sudden, it gets undone by two massive individual errors from players. So there's a reason why maybe we didn't have a complete 90. It's just because of being, outdone by individual errors. Then you also look at the fact that I think in certain games, we have just simply not really brought sort of the energy and the dynamism that Conte simply asked for in certain games. So it's kind of just, for me, Dave, just been a variety of reasons. Because at Man United, it was more a mentality thing. I think we just simply didn't show up that day and just simply didn't really stand up for ourselves and really didn't stand confident in front of those Man United players and in that stadium. Then you look, like I said, at Frankfurt and other games where maybe it's been a bit close and it's been a bit close for comfort. I think not always really due to the defense or the midfield or anything. Sometimes it's just been due to the strikers not finishing. Then you look at other games where it's just been down to Lloris individual mistakes, Dyer individual mistakes, Sanchez individual mistakes, you name it, whatever it was, the silly legs or the shaky legs in the back line, which one you want to pick is your choice. But it feels like there's a variety of reasons, Dave, that I feel like there haven't been complete performances. I don't think it's always been the same reason every time, if you get my point. I think it's been different reasons each time, which is actually scary to think about, let's be honest, because if it can be a different reason each time, that's not a good thing. You would rather it probably just be the same thing every time. That probably makes it a bit more manageable, to be fair.
But Jack, it's a massive concern that we don't really know what to expect from Tottenham going into every single game. For instance, Sporting first half. I mean, one of the worst first halves of football I've ever seen. I thought I was watching an under-7s team get trained on the basics, and then second half, we went out there and we put them to the pump, went full throttle at it. I mean, this is a concern, Most other clubs go into the weekend or going into every single game knowing what their team are trying to do, knowing what sort of performance and where they're at, whereas us, we don't.
Well, this is where I was kind of getting at, Dave, is like the individual mistakes is also what's really cost us. Is I think we've had games where it looked like it was about to be a good performance. It looked like it was about to be a team performance. Practically seemed like all 11 players had shown up. Again, Newcastle is a good example. You sort of you look at other games as well where it felt like the team was pretty much all there, and then it just gets undone by massive individual mistake. And when that sort of happens, we don't really have the mentality always to really bounce back from it. It feels like our heads, do drop. But also, I mean, you're not able to always bounce back from going 1-0 down. We seem to enjoy going 1-0 down. And I don't think that's always down to every single player playing poor. I think it has been down to individual mistakes, Dave. So sometimes it's just, it can be a lack of finishing. It can be poor defending. It can be, the silly legs or, boneheaded, defenders that we have, or it can just be individual mistakes that just simply cut us down and put us, in a position where it's just a lot harder now to win the game. And it's a lot harder to, get a good performance. Because what we even saw again with Sporting, right, was the moment we went 1-0 down, made the game so much easier for them. We started playing into their hands. They were able to sit deep. The game became a whole lot more manageable for them. They knew they could maybe get out of there with semblance of something, get out of there with a result. Just feels like, Dave, it's not always actually Conte or even the team. It's sometimes just been individual moments that have then led to the collapse of the whole team, which then I feel like is unfair, because it felt like there was going to be a good performance, or there was the feeling that there was going to be a full 90 there, but then it just gets undone or destroyed by something else.
Yeah. It always seems like there's something to our downfall, whether it's VAR, whether it's an individual error. It really doesn't matter. John Bamford says, I think you lot are being way too negative. Spurs were great in the second half against Sporting. Arsenal are faltering. Look, what I will say is maybe so, but at the end of the day, it's been a negative month from Tottenham Hotspur, and we only kind of talk about what's put out there. We talk about, and this all stems off the back of the performances this month, my man. And that's what it's all down to at the end of the day. We'll never shy away from talking about anything about this club, whether it's positive, whether it's negative. And unfortunately, this is just the way it is at the minute. But look, honestly, do you know what's mad? I usually get called one of the most deluded. 1 second, Diego. I'm trying to.
I've been sarcastic.
I can see you. But sometimes at the end of the day, it's a bad sign of the times when someone's saying I'm a bit negative when I'm called one of the most delusional out here. So, but big yourself up, my man. I do agree. Second half against Sporting was better, but at the end of the day, just the same old thing. We put ourselves in the pit and we're trying to drag ourselves out. But sorry, go on, Diego.
Yeah, so this is the thing, and John, what I'm about to say isn't directed at you, or it's just directed at the bigger picture. Okay, so what I'm about to say is not at you. What frustrates me is when we get called this, and if you look at it, Spurs were great in the second half. Well done, that's your job to play well. Well done. What about the first 45 minutes? What about the rest of the season where we haven't put a good 90 minutes together? What about the recent history? And how we've literally it's just plodding along, and I keep telling this story, and I could not believe what I was watching or seeing when I went on the fan show on We Are Tottenham TV after the Sporting Lisbon game. I'm doing my bit. I'm speaking to Nick and Bob Spur, and I'm doing my bit. And as I'm talking, there's a guy that came on. I'm not going to say his name because it's not fair, but he was going, why is Brian always on first? Why does Brian talk so long? Why is Brian always so negative? So I was like, okay, I'll leave it. I got off the show and I started interacting with this guy in the chat. I said, listen, right now, it's not all Skittles, rainbows, and champagne. I'm not going to go, woohoo, well done, we're wicked, when it's not there. And then I said, so what is there to be positive about? Give me one thing. And word for word, this is what the guy said. Eric Dyer almost scored a hat-trick. That's what we had to be positive about. And I was like, so you're telling me I have to be positive that a player missed an opportunity to score 3 goals, even 1 or 2, but 3 goals where we would have won 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. That's the positive. That someone almost scored 3 goals. That's positive.
The instant balance to that is, considering the goal was disallowed by VAR at the end. Harry Kane did not have a single attempt on goal in the match.
But he did do 2 good passes, so let's be positive.
Yeah. I disagree that it's a great performance in the second half when you can't muster chances for your centre forward.
This is it. Listen, I understand, like John just said before, Conte likes to play this in the first half and then he goes for it in the second half. Did he do that with Chelsea when they were battering teams on a 15-game run? No, he didn't. Did he do that with Inter? No, he didn't. It's making excuses for, Conte's telling them to keep. Do we have to go 1-0 down and Conte has to light a fire up their arse when they're going in at half time to go,
Yeah.
what the fuck are you doing? Go and sort yourself. Antonio Conte isn't saying, listen, before he goes out, the team talk for the first half is go 1-0 down, play well for 10 minutes, don't do anything for the rest of the half, come in, I'll bollock you, and then we'll try to claw back. That's not what we're doing. That's
Even
not
worse, Brian, like when we found ourselves going into halftime in tough games, 0-0, exactly where we want to be mentality-wise, and then we concede 3 minutes or 2 minutes into the second half. That's exactly what Conte wants, is to get into halftime 0-0, only to put in that huge halftime speech, probably put everything up on the tactical board, only to concede 2 minutes in the second half, and you just have your whole plan just thrown out the window as well. I think that's.
And the thing is, I get there are people out there that maybe don't like hearing some of the stuff. Maybe, look, I'm just going to speak for myself. Some of the stuff I say, some of the stuff I criticize the players for, and that. And look, I get it. But at the end of the day, we haven't won in 3 games. There's winnable games in there. We've been the downfall of our own demise. And at the end of the day, if the players gave us something positive to talk about, there'd be a lot more positivity. But I agree with you. Look, finishing 4th last season, we're still sitting in 3rd right now. Hopefully, advancing out the Champions League. Although, John, I don't hold out much hope because our away form is absolutely shocking. But look, I get what you're saying, but at the end of the day, we're here to talk about the talking points that are out there at the minute and stuff like that. And it's not my fault that they're negative off the back of three games without a win, my man. But big yourself up. We've got Paul Markey. Jackie says your variety of comment, Jack, alludes to the fact too many of the panel are over-comfortable at the club and are not under pressure to perform. Your variety of comment, Jack, alludes to the fact too many of the panel.
I'm not sure about the panel part, but what I do maybe think he's coming from is when I did say that we have a variety of issues for, like what was your question, Dave? Like, why is it that Spurs can't put in a complete 90 right now? I said it feels like it's a variety of reasons, not one reason that I can solely point to each game. And that's more of a concern than anything when you look at it. I think if I could just say, oh, well, the players just have a bad mentality. I wish it was just one of them, because then we'd just be like, all right, well, then we can just know that Conte...
I think it's not about the playing panel, Jack. The playing panel, that's what you mean.
Players,
or too many of the players are over comfortable at the club. Yeah. And I think part of it has to do with the individual mistakes, maybe speaks to it there, Paul Markey, that they can make those individual mistakes knowing that they'll be in the team next week and be able to come into it. I think there is maybe a bit of hindsight also as well. Remember in the days when Jose would just throw in Tanganga, even if it was Tanganga unproven and kind of had no reputation whatsoever? He just did it in case Dyer made a mistake. If Dyer made an atrocious mistake, he wasn't just going to reward him with a game the next week, make him think that, it was going to be all dandy. He kind of just threw in Joe Rodon. We actually got to see the most of Joe Rodon that season, I think simply because if somebody made a mistake, Jose was a bit ruthless about it. He would just throw somebody in, give somebody else the chance. And I think Paul Markey, I kind of maybe wish Conte was a bit more ruthless that way. But he does like to, Conte likes to take the blame himself, actually, Paul. He doesn't really do what Jose does. He kind of likes to sort of give them more of a chance and kind of continue
Jack,
to go with them.
What the mad thing was about Jose, though, Jack? At the time, everyone said, you can't keep doing this. You need continuity. Guess what? Conte's giving them continuity.
No.
And we're still seeing the same shit.
You get the same results. So which one would you rather have then? You're actually right, Dave. And I think, Paul, like I said before, also the fact that there's so many different reasons for not having good 90-minute or complete performances is a worry. I wish it were just one reason. A part of it has to do with mentality of the players. Part of it has to do, like what you just said, too comfortable at the club. It feels like even when they have results like this, there are too many players who have seen the Enes Miras, the Zagrebs, the Ganks, the Middlesbrough. They've been there. They've seen so much worse than this. So many of these players. So they almost kind of take it on the shoulder as much as the fans do, or they kind of take it as well as we do. And we don't want to be taking it, but we probably take it better than anybody else. And I kind of think that's also an issue there, Paul, is that a lot of the players here have gone through really atrocious results in the past and sort of have, you could say, a long history of these. And so they almost seem to be able to get away with it maybe more than other players because they've gone through this before. You're exactly right. Way too comfortable.
And that's the problem. Too many of these people have too many of these nightmares behind them. And every time they go out, they think back to Enes Moura, think back to Vitesse, think back to Zagreb, think back to Antwerp. There's other games in there, Patros Tavera. So they know themselves already going in, there's already a potential of this happening because I've been a part of so many of them. So I think you're absolutely spot on, Paul Markey. Big yourself up, brother, and really appreciate the support, my man.
Absolutely.
We've got Moondog. Says, good afternoon, Dave, Kuva, and Brian. 2-0 today. Come on, you Spurs. Absolutely love that. Look, I really want to win today. I think we all need a win today as well. Just kind of take the stress off us all, because when Tottenham don't win, even though you've got stuff going on in your life, Tottenham stress you out big time. So I think we all need to win today. Big up, Moondog. He also says, if Dyer had scored 3, I wouldn't be rich.
Oh, can you imagine how mad he would be if the one time, like, if you actually put a bet on Dyer scoring a hat trick and you did it every game, and then the one time he did. But Moondog, I don't know. Can you put on the bookies that you want to bet that Dyer almost scored a hat trick? Because then you almost might win.
It's a big positive to take out, isn't it?
It is. It's huge. I mean, the almost that should be a new stat. Forget XG and all that. You should have the chances of almost scoring.
Yeah,
I think honestly the bookies should just. I think they should at least refund him half of the moon boots bets that he's made, just out of just pure sympathy. I think some of the bookies,
yeah,
you know what, that's just a sitter, Moondog. That was a good bet there. You know, we'll just.
It's actually tempted me to put a little bit of money on him scoring today.
Don't do it. Don't tempt him. We're trying to get him out of this hole.
He'll look at those midweek misses and just think, you know what, I'm going to score on today to make up for it.
Or say, hold my beer, I'll miss 4.
Big up, Moondog. And he also says, a good afternoon, Jack.
Big up, Moondog. Yeah, absolute legend. Stay away from the moon boots bets. Stay away from him, my man. Bet on Højbjerg. Bet on Højbjerg. I told you, you got to transition to a new one. Big up.
And also the bet I fancy is Emerson doing a no-look header.
Just a no-look anything today.
But you know what? That no-look pass, when we need someone just to do the basics correctly with a few minutes to go, drove me absolutely insane watching it. Insane. And then you see it circulating on social media after, just wound me up even more.
That was where he was also silly, is that everybody's going to pounce on that as well, you know, with Emerson too.
And he knows it. He knows it, so why try it? You know, I just don't get it. Paul Markey says, my point is the club are rewarding Dyer with a new contract. 100%. I mean, there it is. But you know what? I actually found out about Eric Dyer. Just give me 1 second, Paul Markey. I'm actually going to get it.
But his contract goes up in 2024, by the way, while Dave is looking something up. His contract goes up in 2024. I believe he's 29 as well. So he basically is in the prime of his career, or basically has reached it. And that's
Jack, I found out why Dyer has a career.
But that's what's sad. I mean, you hate to admit it. Like, last season was probably one of Dyer's best ever seasons of his career. He is starting to. Yeah, go ahead.
Apparently, Dyer's grandfather is Ted Crocker, who used to be secretary of the Football Association for a decade and a half from the 70s to the 80s. That's probably why he has a career. Probably explains it.
But you got to look at this, and this is the thing that annoys me. We've spoken about this. This is a club that won't sign players above a certain age as a rule, but brought in Perisic. We won't buy them because they're too old and there's no resale value. But what we'll do is, rather than risk losing these players for free, we'll give them new contracts and give them more money so they can stay at the club, continue to be subpar, and just carry on doing what you're doing. And I've got to tell you now, listen, I've said this on your show and I came on the fan show this week, David. I find it, we all know there's leaks at the clubs that leak, not just Tottenham, at every club that leaks bullshit stories just to generate. How amazing when the transfer talk or the talk of the window has got ridiculous now, and we're like, was the window a good was it a waste of money? Did we attack it? Did blah, blah, blah. The style of football, and obviously the forgetting Bill Nicholson, which everyone is raging about and still raging, and still nothing from the club to come out and say, we apologise for not honouring this great man. We do apologise. We are now going to. They haven't even got the decency to do that. But what better way to change the story than apparently Son wants to go to Madrid, or Madrid wants Son. Dyer's getting a new contract, and that's what you do after a game like that. You really think Spurs would officially say, "Yeah, we're in talks to give Eric Dyer a new contract after a great performance against Newcastle"? It's all bullshit.
But Brian, you're missing the bigger picture. Come the summer, when we're not signing some players we need, we can unveil the new Dyer contract.
You're on.
It's as good as a new player.
that gift where the guy goes smart.
Love Love it. Wayne Bonner says, and big up Paul Markey and Moondog. Really appreciate the support, boys. Wayne Bonner says, if each of you could pick one player to start today, who would it be and why? Me, I'm going to start this one off. I'm going to go with Gil Modric, a.k.a. Gil Messi, a.k.a. Gil Hoddle, a.k.a. St. Gildrich Day. That's who I've gone with today. For me, look, I don't like the 3-5-2. I think it's a bit more negative than the 3-4-3. You're essentially taking out a player and playing a holding midfielder. I get the idea behind it. We don't do well with possession away from home. It's to try and get on the ball and dominate the game a bit more. But it's clear to me, since Kulu's gone, the lack of goals. I think when Kulu's been playing, we've averaged 2 point something per game in goals. We also haven't lost this season when Kulu's played. Since he's been out, we've lost. We're not scoring goals. I think he's absolutely a huge miss. Richarlison couldn't offer it. Lucas Moura couldn't offer it. But Gildrich can, a.k.a. Howard Wolowitz. He's got a lovely left boot on him, cuts inside, and he offers the closest to me what Kulu does. He can skin his man. He can put balls in from an acute angle. So for me, why persist with the same thing with Lucas Moura when you know what you're going to get? Give Gill a chance. He deserves it, in my opinion. So for me, that's who I'm going with. Jacko?
I can't add much more to that. We're the protectors of the Hill Messi prophecy, Wayne Bonner, and it feels like today is the day for him to shine and be given his chance, especially if you want to go 3-4-3. I think you go with Hill Messi today. It's basically you have no other choice, and hopefully he can make at least some sort of semblance of an impact that maybe, Kulusevski would have, because I think that's why the only reason people are kind of excited about Hill is that he perhaps offers something more similar to maybe what a Kulusevski would bring than Lucas, which isn't really saying much if you really, look at it. But I think that's why people are really excited about him, is maybe he could offer that creativity this team has kind of been lacking, especially in that 3-4-3. But Kuva, who would you go for?
I like the Hill idea. I've not been a fan of Hill. I thought he's not going to make the grade. I still feel he probably won't, but he is worth another look. Definitely.
For today, yeah.
At least he offers something. I'm going to double it up and I'd say let's have Jed Spencer at right wing back as well.
Yeah.
Just completely refresh that right flank. See what they can do. Even if they have lots of mistakes in them and it doesn't work out, at least give it a try. See if it just invigorates the team. Bit more flying forward play. Bit more intense. It might give everybody a lift. We're missing Kulusevski so much. Let's get some excitement.
And rotation is needed today, and rotation is expected today. So why not Spence? Absolutely right, Kuva. Brian Daigle, what would you say? Who's your person today? Who would you?
Well, seeing that he actually currently lives in Bournemouth, Paul Gascoigne. Let's bring him back. There's the creativity we need. Do you know what? It's tight for me between Hill. It's tight for me between
What,
Hill.
you said Dyer and Davies yesterday. I thought you said you were looking forward to seeing today.
Oh yeah, I can't wait. I'm literally, I can't wait till I can start buying stuff again. I'm gonna get both their shirts. I might even get both their numbers and names on the same shirt. But yeah, no. Do you know what? I'm gonna say it because everyone's really said Bryan Gil. I'm gonna say Fraser Foster. I really am. I'm so adamant in what's going on with Hugo that I think it's time, because what happens if Hugo has another mare today? Do we then say, right, Champions League, I think he just may need a rest, because you've got to remember as well, he's going to be mentally fatigued. He's going to be physically, his body is getting older. It's taking him longer. So at some point, where do you draw the line and say, do you know what? You need some time out. And I think for me, it would be Foster. For me, it would be.
Do you know what, Daigle? I actually agree with that. Anyone that knows me, I'm a loser outside of streaming. All I do is listen to players doing interviews from the past, managers, etc. And they all say when you're out of confidence and it's going on for 3, 4, 5 games, the only option is to take that player out of the firing line for his own good, because he's never going to come to you and say, boss, I'm struggling mentally, take me out. Never, ever, ever going to do it. And this is where maybe Conte maybe needs to be a bit clever and just dip him out today. And today's the right game to do it. Bournemouth away, you should think Fraser Forster should be enough, and maybe reinstate Hugo Lloris for Marseille away, to be honest with you. That's what I'd be doing, but I definitely think you're onto something there, Daigle. And we're going to talk about
the change of captaincy might help as well.
Oh, well, that's the biggest one, Kuva. I mean, me and you have spoke about this for quite some time now, about the captaincy. I mean, when you look at the mistakes and the errors that this guy is doing, And then you just look at his overall leadership since he's been here. I'm not a big fan of goalkeepers being captain anyway. Like you, Kuva, your captain should be in the middle of the pitch, right, or in one of them in the spine of your team, either centre back or centre mid.
We also, though, like I said, because he's captain, we find ourselves struggling to even rotate him or drop him for the time being because he's so out of form. Because he's the captain, it would be a big deal to do so. You're then stripping him up to captaincy. It makes it more complicated. Whereas if it were Højbjerg or Kane, it's easier. Like you can just rotate him, and then it's someone else is the captain that day. Like Hugo is the captain that day, maybe just for that day or whatever it may be. And just feels like with him being the permanent or the first team captain, like as the first choice and primary choice, it complicates things for this situation, because not only are you rotating and dropping your your fantastic servant of a goalkeeper, you're also dropping your captain, which just makes it, even more complicated and twisted.
Well, look, what we're talking about, Hugo Lloris, let's stick with him for a minute. Now, many like myself put the run of inconsistent form mainly down to certain individuals in our backline. But has Hugo Lloris's erratic behaviour, poor distribution, and questionable keeping been actually the main contributor to our inconsistent form? Have I got it wrong? Does it stem from Hugo Lloris and then extends into the backline? Or is it the backline that knocks back to Hugo Lloris?
I'll just quickly start. I think there's the joke, right, is that Hugo Dave is a world-class shot stopper, and then people would say he always has that sort of rush of blood, that lapse of judgment that happens. What did they used to say? Like every few months, maybe once or twice a year, he has some big lapse of judgment or rush of blood.
Yeah,
this is now happening, I feel like, more often than it can. It's not sustainable, it feels like right now, where he's now getting away with it in certain games. Even he probably could have been punished in other games for maybe mistakes he could have made, and it feels like it isn't all his fault. Like we said before, sometimes it is just Sanchez, Dyer just playing him sloppy back passes and just putting the pressure on him. But ultimately he has made a few mistakes, even just goalkeeping wise, when it even just comes to shot stopping, which is also a concern. So I do feel like at this moment, Dave, it's not sustainable with kind of the mistakes he's been using, or the mistakes he's been making. So you either, kind of let him, play himself out of it, or you do drop him and take him out of the firing line and then bring him back into things. Because I think it is part of the reason why, again, we spoke to, why don't we have complete 90-minute performances? Sometimes when you get let down by your goalkeeper in the North London derby 47 minutes in, just after halftime, it is a bit of a letdown. I mean, I found myself wanting to kick the screen and found myself wanting to kick a hole through the wall. And so you just sort of look at it that way. It can't be sustainable. And so I think he does need to turn it around.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope so. Be interested to see, though, Fraser Forster does step in today. Be interested to see what Conte thinks of it. Ribsy, big up win. I really appreciate the support, my man, and sending us into that conversation, brother. Ribsy85 says, I don't care if Dyer speaks fucking Martian. He doesn't do the job for us. Big up, lads. Love your work. Come on, you Spurs. I mean, we'll give this one to you, Cooper. You like a bit of a joke, and Ribsy got you smiling here, my man.
Yeah, well, it kind of ties in with the whole theme at the back, doesn't it? It's leadership, coordination. Right. It's all lacking. I agree. I think Dyer's a shocking player. I've never rated him. Pochettino didn't rate him. Didn't see him as a centre back. Tried to play him midfield. Even had to drop him from there. It just wasn't good enough. Jose tried again. Eventually had to drop him too. The bloke's just not a good player. I mean, he can play. It doesn't matter if he can play 95% of the game brilliantly. If the other 5% he costs you a goal or two and you don't win the game, he's a liability. That's the trouble with Dyer. It always is. He can look very, very comfortable at times, but it's consistency. Tying in, we'll go back to the goalkeeper bit as well to fit in with it.
Just quickly before you do, Kuva, I want to ask you maybe on Dyer. Is he too nice? Because when you look at someone like Chiellini, look what he done to Saka in the World Cup. I've seen that guy fall to the ground and handball it away from people to stop them getting at his goal. Brilliant. We don't see any of this from our defenders.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's, as far as I'm concerned, central defenders and goalkeeper, it's life on the line protecting that goal.
Yeah,
anything to stop it. It doesn't matter how much it's questionable against the rules of the game, how
Yeah.
morally,
Yeah,
how
like
morally
Vidic was
lacking
back
it
in the
is.
day.
You
Yeah.
do whatever it takes. I'm all for that. It's supposed to matter that much. Don't see any of that with Dyer. I think the midweek game, the Newcastle game highlighted it for me more than anything else. Yeah. Hugo caught off his line. Dyer chooses to argue with the referee instead of run back onto his line and cover the goal. Protected at all costs. It's simple. Play to the whistle. Simple. This is stuff you learn when you're at school. And he still doesn't do it. How is this rated as a great player? I have no idea. Absolutely no idea.
Every day I wake up disillusioned with the world.
Tying it in with the goalkeeper thing. I always think some of the greatest goalkeepers I've seen, Pat Jennings, as much as it's one of their lot down the road, David Seaman, great goalkeeper. What did those two have in common? It wasn't the flying electric acrobatic stops that you get from Hugo. It was this calming presence. It was like everything's under control. That confidence that they'd exude from that spread throughout the team. Defenders commented on it as saying, you knew the big fellow was at the back behind you and everything's okay. They could relax. They could do their jobs and not worry about it. With Hugo, it's the reactions. It's the smart cat-like saves. It's brilliant to watch, but does it really inspire a calmness among the team? I don't think so.
I agree.
Another quick thing on Dyer, though, Ribsy, is what I would argue, too, is that he's supposed to be, he should be good on the ball, and he should be one of our best, center backs in possession. But it feels like he falls victim to then getting nervous in possession and getting nervous just in general and giving the ball away and making silly mistakes in possession. I kind of feel like, Dave, we'd probably tolerate Dyer slightly more, let's say, if he was unbelievable in possession. Let's say he was being able to dictate play and being able to find and link up and being able to be that brilliant possession center back that we've been looking for. And let's say he made the same defensive errors, we'd still be ripping our hair out. But that's my issue right now, is that not only is he making those sort of defensive errors that rip our hair out, but he's also not really been that brilliant in possession, I think, the last few games either, which then makes it just deeply frustrating, because I think he should be one of the better ones in possession, but he almost falls victim to a lack of confidence and, that weak mentality we spoke about, where then some of his own facilities of being a good passer of the ball sometimes start to kind of go out the window, because the moment Dyer loses confidence, you see him giving it away, you see him moon bootsing it out of the stadium and things like that. And that's where he even gets his name from, is from losing that confidence and then just starting to just give the ball away incessantly. And also as well, Ribsy, I would say the fact that he is called Moonhead, I wouldn't, be surprised if he does speak a bit of Martian.
Big up, Ribsy, brother. Really appreciate the support, my man. Good to see you in. Good to see you awake so early as well. Tom Marketing, great to see you. We've also got Sean all the way from Barbados. Big yourself up, my man. David Nagaze, good to see you. And we still got Reload with us. Big yourself up. And Wembley 1. Dark Sun G Jack says on Premier League injury, on Premier injuries, I saw Nate was out for Bournemouth. He's the guy from Barcelona. He's currently Bournemouth's #1 goalkeeper at the minute, right? Forrester needs to play today. You're spot on with that, Dark Sun G Jack. What would you say?
Dave, just quickly, you have to be proud of ourselves, right? That we also use Premier Injuries, and we got the approval that Dark Sun G uses it, because any website that Dark Sun G uses for his stats, for his figures, for whatever he needs is what we should be using. So it's good to see that we're using the same data source there, Dark Sun G. When it comes to Neto, I think like whoever it said, or I think it was Kuva, who said that relegation candidate teams, they need their goalkeeper. They rely on their goalkeeper to get them out of games. You see the likes of Pope kept Burnley up for so many seasons. Ramsdale made a whatever ridiculous move to Arsenal for having a half decent season at Sheffield United. And also Sam Johnston, people still rate for having an okay season, I think, over at West Brom as well. So when you do have a decent keeper for a relegation candidate team, they need them and they do depend on them. And so I would say we should be taking shots galore, definitely shots galore. We found ourselves absolutely destroying Danny Ward at Leicester City. And I would imagine the backup goalkeeper for Bournemouth is probably like a Danny Ward type quality keeper. So I would just say, just have shots galore today.
I think
if
you
we
could,
can.
Mark Travers still there. Is he the young Irish goalkeeper? Mark Travers, he might
Yeah,
still be there.
yeah.
He could be the backup. He actually had a worldie against us. His first Premier League game.
A younger
He
keeper,
had
I
a
would be a
worldie
bit
against
scared
us and
of.
didn't
Yeah.
concede.
A
We
younger
took, like,
keeper is more of a,
50
you
shots
never
in his goal.
know. A younger keeper could have a world-class day, where if it's like a 31-year-old Scott Carson or something like that, then I'd be, licking my lip sort of
Yeah.
situation.
Can
Yeah,
I
I
just
think
say,
Mark Travers is
I just want
decent.
to say one thing, a very, very big shout out to a very, very close friend of mine, Rachel Freeman, who has joined your stream today. And I've just seen her name in the comments. A big up, Rachel. I hope you're okay, honey. And I'll see you
Big
in
up,
a few
Rachel.
weeks.
Big up, Rachel. Good to see you in the building. Big yourself up. Kuva, you were going to say?
Oh yeah, the Neto, without doubt, he's great goalkeeper for them. Really important. But as you said, Travers came in midweek. It was against West Ham when they played. Came on because Neto pulled the hamstring, which is presumably keeping him out today. And Travers looked like a pretty decent goalkeeper from what I saw of him. So yeah, let's assume that unfortunately goalkeepers are not in
Even the
short
backup
supply.
goalkeeper, that's okay.
Travers is good enough to be a number one. This guy played against us. Who was in charge? I think Jose Mourinho was in charge. He made his debut against us, and I think it finished 0-0. And he saved absolutely everything. Absolutely everything. He's not a bad keeper whatsoever. But big up, Dark Sun G. Glad we got to seal the improvement on Premier injuries. And good to see you in the building, my man. What time is it over there? Let me know. Ribsy says it's 10 o'clock for him. He's on the beer. So what stage of the day you at, Dark Sun G? Big yourself up, brother. The Bertie Hotspur says Gill as an attacking midfielder in a 3-5-2. Well, look, I think we'll just skip straight to the Gill talk and we'll come back to some of the other stuff if we get time. Look, can it work in a 3-5-2? I definitely think it could. It'd be interesting to see what way he plays today, whether it is a 3-4-3 or whether it is a 3-5-2 with Gill playing as a cam and putting, whether it's Kane and Son or whether Kane is injured and it ends up being Lucas in behind. It's a big call today, but either way, I just like the guy's vision. I think with Lucas Moura, it's head down, try and beat a few people and do nothing with it, whereas Gill has vision. He wants to play. Look at some of the switches of play the guy done. Usually UCR players having to do 3 or 4 passes across the pitch to do that. Gill just picks it up, one ball over the other side. Let's play, boys. What's all the fuss about? Absolutely love it. Absolutely love this little kid. And hopefully he does do well. I just need to find my Gil Modric questions. I've got them. I've got loads.
There you go.
Oh, Jack, I'm sorry. What?
No, ask the question. I was going to stall for you, Dave, for a second. I would love to see him maybe behind the strikers, but I think he probably would play more like a Kulusevski if we played him in that 3-4-3.
Yeah, I think we definitely need someone that can offer something like Kulu offers for sure. Now, for me, we have real creative problems up front right now on the right-hand side. Conte did try and switch to a 3-5-2 to see if he could get something out of that. Ended up with 2 defeats and went back to the 3-4-3 midweek. Started Lucas Moura on the right. He was absolutely awful in my opinion. For me, it's actually hard to justify him, Daigle, to give him more minutes today after doing nothing midweek. Gil Messi came on for 20 minutes and our attacking intensity absolutely ramped up. We actually carried a threat from the right. Not everything was just coming from the left. Lucas has had his chance. Is Conte brave enough to select Gil Modric today, Brian?
Has he got the balls? Yes. Has he got the balls? Yes. Will he do it? We'll have to wait and see. Like you said, I've defended Lucas Moura. I thought after when Nuno was in charge, I thought he had the potential with Nuno. And he started that pre-season like a house on fire. And I thought this could be the season where he just doesn't kick on. He just does not kick on. And what kind of message does it show for our, again, this will go down to the mentality of our club, that a player can come back after an injury, give a woeful account of himself. In all honesty, let's be serious. Let's call it as it is. It was a woeful performance for a player that, as we all know what he's done in the Champions League. He'll forever be remembered in the Champions League. To put in a performance like that, and then you have someone like Bryan Gil come on, and in that cameo transformed the game. Offered that option of, not saying that he'll get it done, but when you got the ball, when he got the ball, you actually had the belief that something may happen. Not saying it would work every time, but at least he would try and do something. He would try to take a man on, would try to find space, would try to find that forward pass. And this will be a big problem for it. If Lucas Moura does start ahead of Gil, I just don't understand it, because we all say, like we said, as you said, Dave, when you look at the back in the day, you have your jersey and it's yours to lose. If you get injured, suspended, or you lose your form, you get dropped. The next person, if they're training well, will come in, and then it's your chance to get your choice to work hard and get back in that squad. Or if this guy keeps his place, if we let Moura start, it's like, yeah, just play shit, and we won't try anything else. You just carry on. We'll give you another game to try. And if it goes wrong, we'll just bring you off and we'll bring Hill on, and then we'll try it again, and we'll try it again, and we'll try it again. We have to try something, because we're all talking about the style of football, whether you like it or not, whether Conte's trying to do it or not. Big up Tim Winston from Spurs Song Sheet, who's in the chat as well. Big up, a very good friend of mine. Everyone check out Spurs Song Sheet. They are absolutely incredible. But getting back to Lucas Moura, we've got to stop this as a club. And I'm not just saying Lucas Moura. If a player plays shit, whether he's come back from injury or not, there has to be someone to take the place to say, we don't accept this as a football club. You can't put in a shit performance and we'll go, have another chance. Harry Kane and Heung-min Son can put in a shit performance, but funnily enough, they've got just a little bit of credit in the bank. Just a little bit to say, listen, don't worry, next game I'll come back. Lucas Moura, his overdraft has exceeded its limit, and there is no credit in the bank. And it's time that we start saying, Lucas, you're not playing, you're not performing. Hill has shown he's performed. We're going to give it a go, because we have to. We have to.
Spot on. Big up the Bury Hotspur. Really appreciate the support. And then Wayne Bonner says I'm with Gill, but also with Brian Play Forrester. Yeah, 100%, my man. Look, I think I would. Look, Brian alluded to the confidence and stuff like that. And for me, it just doesn't make sense to persist with the guy. He does need to be dropped. And I love the fact you're with Gill today, Wayne Bonner. And my man, it's good to see you, actually. I haven't seen you in a while. Hopefully life is treating you well, my man. It is great to see you in the building. But what I want to know, Kuva, and I think Wayne wants to know this too, because he's on the Gill Messi train. Is Gill Messi the answer to our creativity problems right now? Because you look at the game midweek and you look at the game since Kulu's been out. Everything has come down our left-hand side. And as much as people give out about Perisic and Sessegnon, everything is coming from that side. Nothing has come from the right since Kulu's injury. Is Gill the answer to this today, to our creativity problem?
Probably.
It's a lot to put on a young guy.
I just feel like he's not going to offer. Oh, yeah, it's Kuva. Sorry.
You can go after Jack.
How dare you, Jack?
I didn't hear that part. I'm eager, Dave. It's the prophecy of Hill Messi. I'm too eager.
I'm holding you back, Jack.
I have no manners.
I've got to say, when the first impressions of Hill, I thought he's never going to make it at this club. And I think the first 85 minutes of his Spurs career was spread over 9 appearances. And he just ran around a bit. I saw nothing, absolutely nothing to suggest he's going to be a player for us. But last couple of games, he's come on. There's end product. He's creating things. He's making chances for other players. I think he had a shot against Lisbon as well. It didn't end up so well, but at least he was getting there, getting the shot in, creating for others. Things were happening. He's that energy has been channeled into things happening for the team up front. And at the moment, the alternative is Lucas, who I think you will remember I am not a fan of in the slightest. Never have been. He's had about 12 good games as far as I'm concerned in 5 years. Of course, love him for Amsterdam, but that's it. He's running off that night, really. Hill, I think, deserves another look. I'd like to see him given a chance now, because with no Kulusevski, we need something, and that's the closest we got. I don't see it coming from anywhere else. Bentancur's stepping up his game, doing it really well, driving the team forward very well. But you need that kind of spark, don't you? That excitement factor up front, something to happen. I think if the news is correct and Kane is out today, we could see Sonny in the middle, and then like a 3-pronged attack with Hill as one of them starting. Could be interesting. Also, it's good to. It's in a sick way. It's kind of good to see how we're going to do without Harry Kane playing.
If Kane is out, that leaves no attacking options off the bench if we play Lucas, Son, and Gill today.
We're in that. As far as I'm concerned, Lucas isn't an attacking option anyway. So
I agree.
It's been that way all season, though, with Kulusevski and Richarlison been out. When we go for the 3, we just then leave ourselves with nothing on the bench.
Look, today's going to be dicey. Part of me actually makes me think he's going to revert to a 3-5-2 to keep one attacking off the bench to try and change it if needed. But Jack, does Gill offer more than just creativity though? Because when I watch him, he actually offers a bit of energy, a bit of liveliness to the team. He chases down everything, and even though sometimes he's not strong enough to win it, what it does do, it drives people into a corner where someone like maybe Emerson or Bentico or Højbjerg could come across and say, "Give me that ball, that's mine." Is it more than creativity he provides?
I think what he kind of proved two things in his recent cameos in the Champions League. I think he's proven that he can provide, at least for the time being, some sort of plug-in of what maybe Kulusevski brings in that right wing, which is a bit more composure, not giving the ball away constantly, finding other teammates, getting kind of other teammates involved, just simply playing football, Dave, like you kind of mentioned, like Kulusevski does. But he also kind of showed, I think, that we sort of have maybe outgrown Lucas. I think probably Kuva would argue we've outgrown Lucas a long time ago, but it did kind of show that, I think, with Hill, because what he was offering, Dave, was more than what Lucas was offering creative-wise. He also was offering a lot more composure on the ball than I think Lucas, because, I mean, Hill looked desperate to create something. He looked desperate to try to do something, but he wasn't giving it away nearly as much, it felt like, as Lucas. And if he was giving it away, it was simply because he was trying to whip a ball into the box or just trying to make something kind of happen, where Lucas was just, concrete legs, it felt like, the whole game, just bouncing off of him. Another thing too, Dave, is that we used to sort of just praise Lucas for running around and being able to be a bit of a nuisance kind of with his pressing. Like you just mentioned, Hill also sort of does that, which then makes you think we really have probably outgrown the likes of Lucas, because if Hill also provides that sort of pressing and that sort of energy off the ball, then you probably do just go with Hill, because he looks more creative. He looks better on the ball. He's not going to probably lose it nearly as much as Lucas does. And he looks like he maybe will be willing to work about as hard as Lucas does too. So they kind of have all three things there. The only one thing Lucas does provide, Dave, is those sort of NBA level hops, I would say, kind of in the box, which could be useful from time to time. And unfortunately, Hill Messi doesn't have that in his locker.
But then is it like what Wayne Bonner says here then, Jack? Gill is the immediate backup to Kulu.
This is the prophecy of Hill Messi. If he has the chance to prove this here today, Wayno, and I think we know that he has some of those facilities and some of those abilities to be a bit of a sort of time being kind of a replacement for Hill or Kulusevski until he comes back. But don't get me wrong, Kulusevski is levels and levels beyond Hill, and he'd think he'd just get straight back into the team, even if he's like 90% fit, I would say. But he is, I think, providing some, I think, like I said, some kind of sort of similarity to what a Kulusevski would bring out there, which is a bit more composure on the ball, a bit more kind of genius, a bit more kind of creativity, being able to see through the lines, being able to play through the lines, and also just being a bit more of that creative spark that Sonny and Kane need, and someone that can take the pressure off of Sonny and Kane, because it feels like sometimes Lucas and Richarlison haven't done a great job at taking the pressure off Sonny and Kane on the ball, and maybe someone like a Hill would, and we know Kulusevski does.
Can I just add to that very quickly? Just this is the problem. Listen, Bryan Gil, maybe as we speak,
there's a lot of pressure
to him. Yeah. But this is the kind of the situation we're in now, because this is a player we're trying to get rid of in the summer. Let's not get this twisted. This is a player that he wanted to go back to Spain or get a loan. We wanted to get out of the club to free up space, and now by hook or by crook, he has become our backup. Where I say, Luca, when we signed Kulusevski, we could clearly see that Lucas Moura was just simply not anywhere. What we were thinking, he can play on the right, he'll do it. We just saw the difference between a guy that's a seasoned pro, played in Europe, played in PSG, Brazil, and then you've got a 22-year-old or 21-year-old at the time that came in that just showed how exposed that right position was. And don't get me wrong, I'm not going to go as far as you two and say I'm a believer, as you say right now. We're seeing flashes, but I don't want to see my replacement having flashes, if you know what I mean. If we had
that's how it starts, though, Brian. He's a young guy. We've got to remember he's a young guy. That's how it starts.
I feel like he's only had the chance.
That I'm agree with, but as Jack just said, when Kulusevski's 90%, I'd even go as far as 80-85%. He walks straight back in, and then he goes back to being. We're going to play in a cup so we can rest Kulu. Not you're going to play because you're better. You know what I mean? He's not going to have the chance to get his place, because once Kulusevski's there, your levels. Like Jack said, your
Yeah.
levels. We need someone in between, if you know what I mean. Let
Yeah.
Gill develop. Let Gill do what he does because he's still so young. But you need someone in between the two of them. So if Kulu is out, there's not all this pressure, like you just said, slapped on Bryan Gil.
Yeah,
I think
but you
sometimes
know what?
football works that way, though, where a player probably was meant to be shipped off and then it doesn't work out. And then he puts in, a glimpse of a good performance. The manager is kind of forced to play him because of it. I've seen with Juan Mata in the past that's happened. I remember Jose had that with Juan Mata where he wanted to get rid of him, didn't get the chance to get rid of him. All of a sudden, Juan Mata, I think halfway through the season, turned into one of his best players that season. And just because he put in one good performance, Jose was forced to play him. And then it turned out to be a good rest of the season. I'm not saying it's going to be that way with Hill, but it is sometimes football is that sort of, I don't know, kind of conundrum of the way it works like that with the way maybe sometimes, managers are forced, to do things, forced.
Just speaking about the pressure on Gill, though, I mean, it's what's going to make or break the player. It's the only way you know if he's good enough or not. You've got to apply the pressure, put him out there in them pressure situations. If he can stand up, be counted, and still play his ball, well, then for me, you've got a player there. If he doesn't, then you've got a problem with the mentality side of things again. But Kuva, I could see your lips trembling.
Yeah. It's that quote the quote from Conte, isn't it? That's it's hyped things up for a lot of the fans when he made the comparison to Bernardo Silva. People say, "Oh wow, he must be in Conte's plans," that sort of thing. But if you really look at it, it's kind of like what Pochettino said about Marcus Edwards. We said he's got the similarities. He's that sort of player. That sort of player is the key bit, not the same player. It's just that type. When Pochettino said it, he was referring to low center of gravity, quick on the turn, fast, great acceleration, and very attacking minded. That's not saying he is as good as Lionel Messi. And the same with Hill here. He's a very similar player in what he does. But there's a gulf in quality at the moment. Yeah. Now, does Hill respond to this sort of pressure and being in the limelight in a positive way? Because if he does, that could be terrific. He might live up to the expectation then. But if it adds to the pressure on him and he doesn't respond well, this could also destroy him. So it's interesting to see how he responds for me.
But you know what, though, Kuba? I completely agree with you. But at the end of the day, a young lad, you've got to take every chance given to you. At a club like Tottenham, you're not going to be given 6, 7, 8 chances unless you're a centre back to be able to prove whether you're good enough or not. And at the end of the day, you're only going to get a few minutes. You're only going to get a couple of chances, and this will make or break Gill. But that's what we need. That's what happens to most of these young lads. You either sink or you swim. So hopefully Gill Messi can swim. Wayne Bonner says Gill is the player we need right now. For me, I agree. I just look at Lucas, and I know some people are going to say it's harsh. He's coming off the back of long injuries. But what I will say is what we've seen the other day is not out of character from Lucas when he hasn't had injuries. We've seen more of the same stuff from him, heavy touches, frustrating, this, that, and the other. But big up Wayno. He also says
Lucas is the only player that comes off the pitch every match with grass stains on his nose.
Yeah.
It's like I said, that's why I call him the Brazilian Darren Huckabee. That people remember, he literally just puts his head down and just runs, and wherever he ends up is where he ends up.
Wayno also says Kulu is the sorcerer, Gill is the apprentice. I love that way. I love that, my man. Beat yourself up. And Wayno, he's loving Gill, Wayno. He's loving him, he says.
Oh, Dave, he's also in the bug.
He's got the bug.
He says, regardless where you play him, Gill will be a nuisance to the opposition. He gets the ball, he moves it on, and he moves it on smartly. Very underrated. I mean, Jack, this is your day, the prophecy of Gill Messi. What would you say to Wayne? Oh, it looks like Wayne's on your level today.
He could be he could be past my level. It seems like he seems to be a huge believer, and I'm absolutely loving this one. But I agree with you. I think he does have that sort of ability to move it a bit more smartly than Lucas does. It just feels like maybe a big key difference is that he simply just picks his head up when he gets the ball immediately when cutting inside. He also, though, as well, seems to be just a very sort of tricky customer when maybe dribbling at you, because as we saw, Dave, despite having a very sort of, frail kind of frame, he does have very kind of sort of almost like Eze kind of like shaky sort of kind of hips and movements where like he's not exactly super pacey, I think, Hill, by any stance, but I think he has so much agility sometimes with those movements and with those kind of body feints and everything that it does really seem to get players. Yeah. And it's kind of like Eze, where they're both kind of skinny sort of kind of guys. So it does seem like they are sort of kind of tricky players to read. I think even one player described players like Hill, I think it was on Talk Sport, he described players who move like that as kind of like snake hips, where they kind of just really are always just kind of shifting and moving, and it's really hard where they're going to move next. And since they are kind of so small and kind of agile, that you kind of do have to sort of treat them with that sort of respect, that they can just all of a sudden spin you in any moment. That is what also makes Bernardo Silva, I think, so brilliant, Wayne, is that he is just impossible to get the ball off of. I'm not saying Hill by any means, again, like Kuva is saying, is anywhere close to Bernardo Silva, but you see those similar movements, you see those similar types of feints and kind of, style of play. And that is ultimately, I think, what we need. Whether it's even close to Bernardo Silva is obviously out of question, but it's something that we need. I think we just need a bit more genius in this team. We just need a bit more creativity, somebody who actually can think a bit more, I would just say, a bit more cleverly, just think with a bit more intelligence. And if anything, that's what we always credit Kulu for, is having, the intelligence to play better than other players. He just has more of a football IQ. And I think Hill has that sort of brain as well, just a simply good football IQ. And we'll see if it works off for him today.
100%. And Wayne also says, I've been Gil Messi from the start, but the potential and the talent was there in plain sight. Actually, couldn't agree more with that, my man. You just could see it, the close control and stuff like that. You knew there was a player in there. Wayne, big yourself up, brother. Really appreciate support. A couple of super chats to get to, and then I want to talk about Sonny before we end off. Laugh Funkeri says, love the name, says Gill needs ballers to play off Emerson. Come on. I mean, if there's any more of them no-look overhit passes, it's not going to aid Gill's game for sure, but hopefully we could do big up, my man. We've got Moondog in the house. Our backline are like the Keystone Cops. Beat yourself up.
I looked it up. I don't. It's actually a funny Wikipedia image for the Keystone Cops, and honestly, I would say pretty generous to even call them that. Probably worse than that.
Michael Hellman says hashtag come on you Spurs. Absolutely love that, Michael. Big yourself up, brother. And Dark Sun G says 11 p.m. kickoff for me today. I hope Son scores today. Well, Dark Sun G, there's a very important reason why you hope that Sonny scores today. Let me get to it now. Just quickly, guys, I did have so many more talking points, but because things are so bad at the minute on the football pitch, it's kind of like pick which ones you want to talk about because there's just too many. So quickly, I did have Højbjerg. Basically, last week he missed only his third Premier League game in 3 years. Shows his important. Rodrigo Bentancur had another question. We might do this on the pre-match pop we are top TV. In his last 9 games for Spurs, Bentancur scored twice, as many as he could muster across his previous 173 club appearances for Juve and other clubs. So it shows that he's on form. Romero looks like he's not going to be risked today. So it looks like we're going to have Tweedledum, Tweedledee, and fucking Tweedletwat at the back line today. So, it looks like we could be in for a bit of a rough one there, to be honest with you.
David, just a quick one on that, very quick. If Kane is out, let's just say he is, do you then say, okay, Romero, I might need you here because it's going to be extra important that we don't concede?
Well, I actually have a thing on Romero, Brian. He's not as aggressive as he was, and that's shown by his yellow card stats, actually, to be honest with you. So across European competitions, the guy has so many yellow cards, and then this season he's got absolutely fuck all. But with Romero, I'll be honest, I think it is important to save him for Marseille because he's our only hope. Him having an absolute worldie across that back line to keep them out, he is our only hope. Okay. But look, Brian, we'll talk about that a bit more on that, of course.
Obi-Wan Romero.
That's what I will be calling him if he plays well against Marseille and keeps a clean sheet. But look, let's get in and talk about Sonny. Dark Sung G wants Sonny to score today because if Sonny does score today, he basically needs one more goal to move joint second with Teddy Sheringham as Spurs' all-time second highest Premier League scorer with 97 goals. But here's the thing. Whether we like it or not, Son has maybe been underperforming this season. Can he get back to his best, or do you think there's a deeper issue there? Now, Dark Sun G, you know more about Son than any of us, brother. So let me know maybe what you think is going on with Sonny right now, because we can't deny he's not hitting the back of the net or creating as frequent as he was last season. But look, we'll start with you on Cuba this one, and we'll work our way back around the panel, and then we'll be ending off. But I mean, is there a deeper issue, or can Son get back to his form, and can he go joint top? Can he go joint with Teddy Sheringham to be second all-time Premier League goal scorer?
I think if Kane's not playing today, I think it's more likely Son is going to score. Funny enough, one of the reasons things have changed this season. So we're now, Conte wanted Kane to be playing further up the pitch. We're seeing that Kane's no longer quite as involved on the build-up play as he used to be. Conversely, Sonny has now had to drop back more. So we've seen a reverse in the way they were doing it. It used to be ball into Kane, Kane flip it over the top, Son to run onto. That's gone now. So Son is not relying on, he's no longer getting that service for those sort of balls. He's no longer the furthest forward playing off the shoulder of the last defender. So he's learning to play more like a midfielder this season. Back to goal, receiving the ball to feet. The thing is, all the criticism he's getting, he's actually playing okay, I think.
I
it's
agree.
just he's not playing as the Sonny from last season because his role has changed. Kane's role has changed. Perisic is now in the team as well. The dynamic of the team has changed. Now, for me, I would prefer it as it was last season. I think Sonny is at his best when you play him as the most advanced forward. He's devastating. But I don't see him recapturing that sort of golden boot form anytime soon. The tactics have literally just changed that much. With Kane out of the team, though, Sonny through the middle, you've got to look for those quality through balls for him because he is not the big target man at all. Scores very rarely with his head. So it could suit him. It really could suit him. And if you got Hill on form, being able to pick out a few quality through balls, Bentancur doing it, and Emerson nowhere near the team whatsoever, you could make it work. I mean, Sonny's done it before us before, playing up by himself, and did well. So let's have it. If Kane's out, back Sonny. I think he can do it.
Yeah, do you know what you raise a very good point. It'd be actually very interesting to see him directly down the middle. I think it might actually unleash a bit of Sonny, to be honest with you. Very good point. Just quickly, Hennessy says, wait, what? Is the stream stopping? Kickoff is in 2 hours. Look, my man, because I'm so popular and in demand, whether people like it or not, I'm on We Are Tottenham TV, and I do another sort of build up for them guys over there for an hour before the game where the lineups come out and stuff like that. But need not worry, Hennessy. We'll be back for the watch long, kicking off at 2:30, another half an hour build up towards the game, and then we'll go in there and hopefully get the win and celebrate together. But Hennessy, big up, my man. Just quickly, Wayne Bonner also says Gill sees the pass before he makes it. Hot in Gaza. That I agree with. You know, you just one thing I like about the guys, he's got really, really good vision.
Hill is getting gassed up these days. The man must be blushing. I mean, I would be so red-faced right now with these Bernardo Silva comments and everything. I would be so, I'd be blushing so hard.
Whoa, Wayne Bonner, I love you to pieces. You're a top dude. You have 57 screens. You can't even put Gill in that bracket. He may be able to see a pass. Hoddle and Gaza, they saw the pass and they delivered it 90% of the time. Bryan Gil, that is huge names to put. I can see where you're going, that maybe he can develop, even if you say it that way. I sound crazy just saying it. Putting Bryan Gil in the same bracket.
You think Glenn Hoddle likes his hair, though?
He may be jealous on that part. Oh no, Glenn Hoddle had a bit, but when he first broke through,
that's what I'm saying. You know, Hill has the old school hair. Do you think he appreciates that?
He does, but yeah, but Hoddle, who arguably a lot of people will say is the greatest with grit, to me, people know Gaza hands down. That is huge shoes to fill. But
that's what happens when you're talented, though, Brian. You get
there's talent and there's talent. Okay, do you know what? When people say to me, after the game, I need to be more positive, I'm going to say, well, hey, that's my thing. Gill looks like he's going to be the new Hoddle. That's the positive I'm going to take from it.
If you want
He's
to
got the
combine
hair
the two,
for
you can
it.
call him Gill Hoddle, Brian. If you really want to get delusional with it and get on my train, you can call him Gill Hoddle, Gill Gaza. It doesn't matter, you know. The Gill has eyes. You know, what's that coming over the Gill? What's that coming over the hill? Is it Bryan Gil? You know, I mean, there's so many things you can do with this guy. He's a legend. But big up Wayne Bonner. Really appreciate the support.
I'm with Brian there. You can't compound a Hoddle and Gascoigne. That's the genius level, generational talents. I mean, Hill's played what, about
You can't
100
even put
minutes of
Luka.
football?
You can't even put people like Luka Modric with those two.
No.
Those two are like in high esteem. But do I get to talk about the player we were just talking about? Because I've been waiting. Okay, brilliant. So I think it's time that I bring back a certain catchphrase that was born on this channel after speaking to my lawyer when he was going through bad form. And I think before I start this, I need to say disclaimer number 1: I love Sonny. Okay, so here we go. We're bringing that back. As Adrian said, and Adrian Schrocker said it twice. First of all, last season, Son didn't kick until after Christmas. That's when all the goals came. Second thing that Adrian said is when it comes to goals, Son is one of those players that hit the streaks, and when he hits it, he's hot, and then he has a little session. But do you know what it is? It's, I think because of last season with the champion Golden Boot and the performances he was putting in, and the Kane and Son partnership that became the most lethalist in Premier League history, all these accolades and titles have put so much pressure and expectation on him that I'm not just saying that's why he's not doing it, but we as fans, the media, the pundits on Sky and BT and whatever channel that's watched around the world, these expectations have been put through the roof. Now, you can look at it and say the World Cup, where he's going to be captain in this country, and this isn't just for Son, it's the rest of the footballing world. They're all now thinking, what are we? November the 12th is when our last game is. We're talking, what, just over 2 weeks? Just over 2 weeks, then they're all getting on a plane and going to fight for their countries in the World Cup. Son, do you know what I think that looks different with him this season? Last season, even when he was playing badly, that smile was on his face. He had that swagger. You could see him just bleeding and just trying everything for the team. When they home in on him now, when he's had a shot on goal or whatever, he just looks sad. He just is like, he just seems to have lost that little mojo. You know,
It's
like
not the biggest thing for you though, Brian, because like you alluded to, I think when you usually look at Son walk around smiling, happy, even when playing, but now he doesn't seem as happy to me.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think whether it's anything like you've heard the rules with his dad saying you're not world class or whatever, and we all know from that documentary just how hard his dad is on him. You heard it before, but when you saw that documentary, and that's a cultural thing. That's how they do that. You know what I mean? But then he's got the knockbacks as well for not making Premier League team of the season and blah blah blah. There's been so many accolades and things shoved on him within 1 year. It's got to have an effect on you mentally. It's got to. And then when you're not playing at your full potential and things aren't working for you, he's human. He's human. But I agree with Adrian that he went ballistic after Christmas last season, ended up with a golden boot. Hopefully that will happen again. I have every confidence it will, but we have to call it this season. There has been just that glint, that sparkle in the eye, that smile, that self-confidence that seems to have eluded him, and hopefully he will get it back. And if he isn't, do you know what? Every time, if it is Kane out, every time he has had to move up from, he's done the job. Every single time. 100%. So hopefully, or not hopefully, but if it is, he's got to do that because I want Kane to start, then you may see a different Son today.
I really do hope so. Kane02 says all these guys talking about Hoddle and Gaza have clearly not watched Harry Winks play. And that twerp is on his way back too. But look, Kuv, anything you want to add to Sonny, my man?
No, I think just have a bit of faith in him. He's been a great player for us. No need to get on his back when he's finding things a little bit difficult in terms of scoring goals.
Yeah.
If a few of the chances that had gone in that were really close this season, we'd be looking at him on sort of 6 or 7 league goals. Yeah. Wouldn't be bad, would it? It's just not hit the heights from last season. and it's not all down to him. It is a change in formation, well, change in system, change in personnel. It's not all clicking together like it did last season at the moment.
Yeah.
He's still a fantastic player. Love him at our club. And is there a better sight in football than Sonny scoring a goal and that beaming smile? It just makes you feel good. Really warming, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's have more of that. Let's have a couple of Sonny goals today. And
Can picture a Sonny screamer, one of them ones he likes on the edge of the box where he curls it in. Can picture one of them for sure. But big up, Kuva. Ribsy says Perisic and Son are too good not to work out how to play together for long. They'll make sense of it. Perisic needs to trust Son more, I think. Stay out of space. Do you know what it is? I actually don't think it is the two of them sort of getting in each other's way in the space. I think when you look at it, Perisic gets down wide and puts the ball in the box. It's not Sonny's game. Kuva alluded to it. Where Sonny was best last year is Kane getting on the ball, Sonny making a run off the shoulder of the last man and getting his goals. A lot of his goals that way. Whereas right now we don't really have that because we're conceding goal first. It then allows the opposition to sit back. That eliminates the space in behind. We're resulted then to putting crosses in the box, and it's not Son's game. So I definitely agree. We haven't played to his to his liking, but hopefully today he shows up because look, we all love Sonny at this football club and we all want him to do well. So hopefully he can turn up today if Kane is out and take the headlines because someone like him deserves it, and hopefully it'll give him confidence as well. We've got a couple more super chats to get to here, then we'll get the boys' score predictions, and then we will end off, and then Jack will be back here again at 2:30 and to start the watch along where myself, I think it's Shawnee today, will be in with you guys. Brandon G says, I have a fear we will lose the next 3. Forgive me. Look, I think that possibility is always there with the form we've seen over this month. That possibility is there. But it starts today. Forget what's gone and start with fresh. Get the win today. Get the 3 points on the board. Go and get the job done in Marseille. And hopefully it gives us a nice little bit of confidence going into that Liverpool game. But look, I don't blame you, Brandon. That fear is always there with the way we've been playing of late, my man. We've got Wayne Bonner says, sorry, Brian.
Wayne, I'm playing. You listen, people always say that. Gill will be better than Moura. Do you know what? Wayne is sounding it like I do with Alfie Divine. Maybe Gill is his Alfie Divine. So for that, I can never, ever accuse anyone because there's me saying Alfie Divine won't be a superstar. He'll be a world superstar. So maybe I'm just as guilty as what he's saying for Hill. So yeah, listen, we've all got our favourites and believe in some youngsters. So fair play.
Bueno, what's that coming over the Gill? Is it Brian Massey?
Oh,
absolutely love it. Look, we'll get some songs going, Wayno. Just shoot
me
a
Bernardo Silva.
If you've any song ideas for the Gill Messi, let me know, my man. Let me know. But look, hopefully Gill gets going today and we can play well. But look, that brings us to the end of the Match Day Live. Jack will be back here in an hour's time, kicking off the watch along. So hopefully everybody that's been here today, all 220 is, which is incredible for how early it is. Hopefully we'll see you all back here here for the watch along. We can all have a good laugh, a good chat, and hopefully we can all sit here and enjoy 3 points together. But before we go anywhere, we let people plug themselves, and we also get their score prediction. We'll start with you, Kuva, work our way back around. What are we plugging? Are we plugging Kuva and the Kang?
Oh, always. We might not be on this week, actually, on Sunday, because Bobby's struggling a bit injury-wise, bad back and the various things going on. So we'll see how he goes. Otherwise, I will be on Sava's a little bit later on, competing with this channel. Not quite a watch-along. I think he's doing it sort of a talk through Soccer Saturday style. We're going to be talking about the results as they're going on throughout the league. Just generally talking crap like we usually do. Just pass the time while Spurs are playing. Other than that, In the Wall, Bob Spur TV tonight. That's a regular. And on Sunday at 7 Sava's doing a new channel with, as you well know, David, with yourself.
Oh, new show, not new channel. He's already changed the channel name to Savatalks Football.
Sorry, yeah. Well, new show within the channel. Yeah, I should say. Yeah, myself, Sean Butler, and Sava himself, as well as yourself. It's a few things. I'm all over the place nowadays. It's back to the good old days. Height of Couva everywhere.
The height of Couva. I do love that. The height of Couva.
Couva tube.
What's your score prediction, my man? Score prediction.
Score prediction. You know what? I've just got this horrible feeling we're going to be flat anyway. I'm going to go for a 1-1.
Usually I would push you for a winning one, but I can't do that of late. So I'm going to leave you with your 1-1 today, Couva.
I said the other day, if I go for 2 positive, we always lose or draw. So if I go negative, we should be all right. Yeah, 1-1. No, we're going to lose.
Hopefully we get the 3 points today. But Diego, what's coming up on Tottenham on tour? What's your score prediction, man?
So there's a lot coming up on Tottenham on tour, but that won't be happening until I'm back in the UK by the looks of it. So that'll be I fly home a week on Tuesday, but I arrive on the Wednesday. I hope to start getting some footage up immediately because I've been told by Ben and Simeon that I'm going to Nottingham Forest away with them. So hopefully I'll be able to get a few bits and be on the car journey with them and Ashley. But we are coming back in a big way, and this time, as Take That famously sung, we'll be back for good. So I'm not going to sing any more songs. I've already sang one song to Couva today, and that's my singing done. But you can find me on Tottenham on tour with Danny it's Danny Kiriakou, Brian Ireland, Ryan Isaac Kennard. We also have Ben the Coffee Kaufman, and there is a hell of a lot coming your way. And we announced a surprise signing for certain things yesterday, where Assan, you know the assassinator that comes on We Are Tottenham TV from Australia?
What's his name?
Assan, or he goes by the Assassinator.
Yes.
So after every game, he's going to be doing like the Assassinator's analysis or something like that, where he's going to give a pre-recorded 15-minute detail into the game that we've just had. And obviously, with him being on Australia, time zones may work, but hopefully within 24 hours. But yeah, there's a lot coming our way. David, thanks for having me on once again. It's always a pleasure to be with you and Jack. And I think I'll be seeing you in about 8 minutes elsewhere.
Yeah, but before you go on, we'll save your score prediction for We Are Tottenham. No, give it.
Yeah, no, I'll give it now. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend that we don't know that Kane may or may not be in. So I'm going to live on the happy streak that he is in. I've been saying 2-2 or 3-1 to us. Obviously not 2-2 to us, but 3-1 to us. It's heart and head. And like I said, I've got to hold myself accountable and not just keep saying, I think we're going to win. So unfortunately, I'm going with my head, and I think it's going to be 2-2.
Interesting. Again, I'll let you away with it this week. I can't press anybody for winning score prediction since we haven't won in 3 games, so I can't do that. We've got Foggy Foam. Big up Foggy Foam. He says, come on, you Spurs. Big up Foggy, my man. Look, I'm going to plug for Jacko. But guys, hopefully everyone has enjoyed it. If you are on your way out, please smash that like on the stream. Really helps with the algorithm. It's that thumbs up button and that subscribe button as well if you have it in you. But look, Jacko, check out the flatcapeurotalk. Transfer window coming back around very, very soon. There'll be a lot more scout reports and stuff up there for you guys to have a look at. There's one guy Jack really loves, which is Mudryk. So we'll have to get him onto that for sure. Jack's score prediction, I'm not going to give it for the guy. You can hear his score prediction. Press him for his score prediction on the start and watch along. Look, for me, do you know what? I'm going to go 2-1 Tottenham today. I struggle to see us keeping a clean sheet. I really do. But I do think we should have enough to be able to score a couple here tonight against Bournemouth, providing Mark Travis doesn't come out and have an absolute worldie. So I'm going 2-1. I'm going Sonny at the brace. I'm going to go Sonny with the brace. I'm going brave today. Gill with an assist for sure. But guys, I want to say a massive thank you to Couva, to Brian, and to Jack for getting up so early to join me on this pre-match, match day live. So I really appreciate the boys and their efforts they continue to put in on these match day live programs as well. I want to say a massive thank you to you guys out there who, look, some of you are only going to bed, some of you it's beer o'clock, and some of you it's early morning. But regardless, you are here every single match day live, every single stream we do, every single watch along, and your support is absolutely incredible. So I want to say a massive thank you to you guys out there for absolutely everything you do for myself and Jack, and not only us, but all the people that come on here. You follow them around, you support them and everything else. It's absolutely incredible and relentless. And as long as your support is relentless, so will our content. It'll be relentless too. Big yourselves up. A massive thank you to everyone who continues to support this channel in the way you do with the likes, the subscribes, and the super chats. It really goes a long way to everything we do here. But guys, I'm going to see you all back here at 2:30 for the start of the watch long. Myself, Jack, and Shawnee. Stay tuned, and we'll see you all soon. As always, win or lose, come on, you Spurs. In Conte we trust.
Big up,
As
Levy.
always, Levy out. I had to do it after you.
I know.